Trent, you are looking live when you come on. Morning, Trent.
Morning.
How are you? How are you? Trent, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. That far of a delay, or can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. You're just, it's a long delay before you talk when I ask you something. So,
Okay.
wow. Okay. Yeah, there's a good delay between us right now.
Let me leave and come back in.
All right, hurry up. You got a minute. You got less than a minute.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Good morning, everyone. We've made it to Thursday, and we had a little history last night. Top of the morning, Miller and Moulton, everyone. Trent Bally sitting in for David this morning. David will be back on Monday. I asked him yesterday, give me a scale 1 to 10 of you being with us on Monday. He said a 10. I'll hold him to it. So Trent, 2 shows left before you can sleep in an extra hour or two. Probably needed it this morning because, well, I don't know about you, but not only did that game wake me up, but I watched more post-game last night than I usually do. Good morning, Trent. How are you, sir?
I am fine. I wish we had more of a series than we currently have. And if the San Antonio Spurs had their together for, 5 more minutes last night, we would. But I'm doing okay.
Well, I would say a lot more than 5 minutes because that second half performance, while
terrible,
historic if you're a Knicks fan, was one of the worst coaching jobs that I've ever seen in any sport at any time.
And you said as much to me and Felipe last night. You basically let it all out, Mark.
8 straight threes they shot last night. 8. They just chucked the ball. There was no offense. He didn't call timeouts during the run. I don't know what he was saving them for, but boy, oh boy, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And I raise my hand and say I was wrong because I thought the coach in San Antonio, even though a first-year guy, was the better coach. He's not. Would I fire him if they lose this series? Of course not. Would I have some long meetings with him if I were the GM and owner of the team? Oh, my goodness, yes.
Well, that's the ultimate question.
Terrible.
We talked about the whole retread thing. Do you believe in retreads like Mike Brown? It's kind of hard to argue against that right now at this point. Yes, Mike Brown has coached many teams in the NBA. He's also a better coach than Mitch Johnson. We're seeing that.
He was last night. I mean, it is hard to fathom how badly San Antonio played in that second half. And look, I get it. It is a make or miss league. It is. And San Antonio may have played a perfect first half. I don't know if you can play much better than they did in the first half.
They played a perfect first quarter.
Well, but the first half, they're still up by huge numbers. They didn't lose that much. I mean, they outscored the Knicks by 8 in the second quarter. So it's not like the lead went away in the second quarter, Trent. Late in the quarter, the Knicks scored a couple of buckets. But when you're up 19 and then you're up 26 at the half, you don't lose that game. Not ever. It is such an abomination, in my opinion, on the part of the Spurs, coaching, players, and I put more on the coach, because what is this team? This team's really young. And they essentially played street ball in the second half. They didn't take any time off the clock. Hey, let's chuck another one. We're not missing threes in the first half, so we're just going to continue to make them all. They didn't eat any clock, and it's hard to eat clock in the NBA with a 24-shot clock. I will give them that. But they didn't run any offense.
Right.
They went through damn near, long stretches where they're not running an offense. They're just getting it to somebody, and they're shooting it. And
it was not a fun watch. Let's just say that. And now that the series,
I think you're rooting for the Spurs to be right. It was no offense, it was a fun watch. When you watch, it was a hell of a lot. No, come on, Trent. It was a hell of a lot more fun than a 29-point game.
The
comeback at the start of the fourth.
You're into comebacks and you want to see historic stuff. Yes, that's what
I want to see games, Trent. I don't want to see a 29-point blowout. As someone who likes to watch competitive sports, it's a lot more fun to watch a team come back. So it wasn't a bad watch. It was bad play by a team. I think you're putting your own bias because you're watching the pick you made fall apart. Who cares, Trent? If you do this for a long time, you're gonna get a lot wrong. That's territory.
And I'm fine with being wrong. I guess my point is if I was going to get that type of game, I'd want it from the start, Mark. I wouldn't want a 29-point lead to build and then collapse. Like that, I'd rather have the nip and tuck all the way through.
They had more points in the second quarter than they did the second half. Screw how good they played in the first quarter. They had they scored 76 points in the first half. It was remarkable. They were damn near perfect for a half of basketball. They had, to me, an unbelievable turnaround call. You get Karl Anthony Towns with 2 fouls on him in the first, minute 4? So he's effectively taken out. And in that, just in that little time, everything's going the Spurs' way. There are 2 goaltend calls that aren't made. There's a ball out of bounds that's called for San Antonio when it's clearly the Knicks' ball. They got the refs on their side, and they get Karl Anthony Towns with 2 fouls. This all happens before the first television timeout.
Yeah, it's nothing that you would have expected going into the game, going into the series even. And now, unfortunately for the Spurs, some soul searching. I guess they kind of split. They did factually split in New York, but they got to go home and do what they couldn't do in the first 2 games. And I don't know if they can, Mark. I don't know if their soul's gone. I don't know if they can return to the defensive team, the defensive stalwart that they were for the first few games of really the playoffs. Because it hasn't, in my opinion, Mark, the Spurs defense has not shown up the way that it did in the series against OKC in this series yet.
Well, I think there are far more scores on the Knicks team. You have to give credit where credit's due. Who's the scorer for who's this guy that you can count on for Oklahoma City that's not named SGA?
Yeah, if anything, it'd be like Alex Caruso, but I get the point you're making because Chet Holmgren did nothing in Game 7. So, the Spurs, to me, we can talk all day about how I don't think the Knicks have seen a team as tough as the Spurs on defense, but I could flip it right around and say the same thing about I don't think the Spurs have faced an offense like the Knicks. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. The better offense is winning, Mark. They say defense wins championships. Iffy in this series. At least it looks that way. Because the offensive team is the Knicks.
I don't buy that theory. That's an old theory. When's I mean, seriously, you find me a sport where it's defense that wins championships recently. Look at the Dodgers. Their juggernaut of Freeman and Betts and all those bats. They can score 10 runs any night. In basketball now, it has been a scoring league since Steph took Golden State to a title. This isn't the Pistons of the early part of the century or the Pistons of last century. You look at hockey now. You've got to be able to. Hockey's probably the one team where a goaltender can steal it. But even in this series, we have two defensive teams. What are they doing? They're scoring at an unprecedented rate.
Yes.
And in football, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't win. Defense, that is a 20th century phrase that does not apply to this century.
But it still gets thrown around. That's the problem, maybe.
Okay, I don't know by whom, because I think you're living in a world where if you're hearing those people, ignore them. Quarterbacks win championships in football. Basketball is a make-miss league. Hockey, you need a power play now. And football, you better have a quarterback. And baseball, yeah, you need pitching, but you better be able to hit the ball. I mean, the stars of the game, the Yankees, Aaron Judge, if he doesn't hit, they don't win.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are stacked with bats. So I don't buy the defense wins championship theories. That is not a 21st century method to win.
And to your point, if there were going to be a series to prove that wrong, this is it, because the Spurs going into the series had every defensive metric covered. They had the whole thing clocked, and all the sabermetrics and the advanced analytics had the Spurs winning the series, and so did I, right? But the Knicks just outscore the Spurs, point blank, period. They get to that 105-point mark, and we talked about that at the beginning of the series, Mark. All the Knicks seemingly have to do is score 105 points, and they're going to win games, eventually win the series.
Brunson was amazing down the stretch once again. The Knicks, Anunoby has been the unsung. I don't even know about unsung hero anymore, because obviously he had the tip last night that won the game for them, and Anunoby was the guy throughout the game when they needed buckets, because Brunson didn't get much done again until the fourth quarter, and then Brunson turned it on. Some in the third, mostly in the fourth, because without Towns again, and he was, I did not think they could win with Towns not scoring more than 17 points. They did it. He was not a part of their offense really last night. They made a change to put the second ball handler in the second half. I think that freed up Brunson a lot. So,
well, this was the first game, Mark, that I definitively thought that Victor Wembanyama was better than Karl Anthony Towns. And look what happened. I know it's just a 1-point game, but still, those kinds of things matter, man. Like the Knicks defense gave the Spurs a clinic in the final, really the whole second half. But I would say the final 5 minutes, the Knicks defense turned on and said, hey, we can do this defense thing too.
Well, it's a point we've talked about on this show for quite a while. Defense is effort and good. We usually talk about this for the college game, that teams that don't play great defense that can score can then amp up their defense because it's an effort thing. But I'm not going to buy this Knick defense last night. This was the Spurs running an offense that was horrendous.
And you put more on the coach than the players. And I put
it on the Spurs completely. But I'm not giving the Knicks this, oh my gosh, they played great defense in the second half. The Spurs offense was abysmal.
No, that's fair. I'm just trying to give credit where credit's due.
Missed threes in a row. That's where you give credit. To me, you don't. This is not the Knicks defense. They just came down and shot the ball.
Right. Yeah, and that to me is where you can look at Mitch Johnson and say, hey, make some adjustments. But it's also, Mark, it's that weird dichotomy because you're in the NBA Finals. You made it to where you are by playing a certain way. So there is sort of a culture shock when all of a sudden what you've been doing, which has been working all season long and all playoffs long, suddenly isn't. And the Spurs ultimately had no plan B. And a lot of these teams that make it this far into the season don't need one.
Well, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm not, and I don't want to do that. But their plan is to play defense. So their plan isn't to shoot 8 missed threes in a row. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not making excuses for the Spurs. It was a horrendous effort. We'll have plenty to talk about, Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
No! This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Agree 100%, Raiders. They didn't run it all. I put this, I mean, this is the Spurs' fault. They blew this. They blew this series. They're going to have to live with that. Thank you, Enzo. 100%. You're right. But that's not how they live, DC. That's the thing. Did they blow? No, Ryan, did they blow game 2, or did Wemby make a bad pass and they lost game 2? I mean, I think that was a better game. Last night was something. I mean, I know what you're saying, Ryan, but I mean, Wemby with that was a really good game that was lost at the end. I just, last night's in a different stratosphere, man, to me.
Yeah, that's the sign of a young team that just doesn't really know how to win yet. And unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to get back. That's the thing. You could take these things for granted sometimes, you know?
I agree with that, Ryan. They all live and die to a certain degree by the 3, but you have to. Yeah,
8 in a row is bad.
Yep, he missed 2 free throws. They choked. They had no. That's where coaching comes in. He didn't try to stop that run. He didn't. I think he called 1 timeout during that entire run. And I don't know if that helps, but he just, hey, keep shooting threes, guys.
30 points in the second half.
He had 2 guys on him, Ryan. That's the main reason. Wemby came out to guard him. He didn't think he could get by 2 guys. Anunoby wanted the ball. If you watch the highlight, he's calling for the ball. And when Brunson decides to shoot, he charges the hoop. He didn't think he had enough time, according to what he said post-game. That's all. I mean, I was up rather late last night. That's as much post-game as I've watched. I wanted to hear. I listened to Wemby. I listened to Brunson. I did not hear Mitch Johnson there. I would have liked to have, but I didn't dig to find it.
I like the Shaq with the Magic parallel.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton. After a historic Game 4 in the NBA, the Knicks look as if they're going to get their first championship since the early 70s. Up 3-1 in the series. It goes back to San Antonio. Now they just have to close it out. If you're a Spurs fan, you can point to a lot of reasons why they can come back. They outplayed the Knicks last night for long stretches of the game. And should they be able to learn from what happened last night? Obviously. I'm sure the Atlanta Falcons would like another crack at New England. But this is a game that I think you referenced something, Trent, but didn't say it. So I will say it for you. You don't know if you're going to get back to this point.
Yeah.
There are no guarantees. You know, Denver's had the best player in the league for a while.
Great example.
They won a championship. They've not been back to the final since.
Haven't even been back and lost one. That's the thing. I mean, the Spurs right now, they feel great about their future, but I love where you're going here, Mark, because you cannot take these things for granted. And it seems like in a series where we've had 4 close games for one way or another, whether it's close throughout or it's close in the box score, right? The Spurs, there's no way that they're not punching themselves this morning, Mark.
Oh, this was the longest flight of their lives.
Has to be.
That bus ride to the airport and that flight home were probably some of the most silent times most of these guys have been around. Because I think the guys that wanted to talk were probably afraid to. This is where, you know, as a coach, I don't know what you do. Do you get in the bus and say, you know, hey, guys, forget about it. We got to move past it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But I can't imagine there was much said on the bus and not a whole hell of a lot said between when wheels up and wheels down on the private flight back home. Because
Can I throw something at you? Harrison Barnes is on the San Antonio Spurs. He is probably the most seasoned guy that actually gets time on the court on that roster, okay? And he is a part of the 2015 Warriors, 15-16 Warriors that won 73 games, blew a 3-1 lead. If there's anybody that can get into the Spurs' heads and right the ship, it might be him. And I know it sounds like I'm grasping at straws because that's what you have to do at this point. If you're down 3-1 in the series to a Knicks team that, yes, they've looked good, but not necessarily better than you. It's just you have been terrible in the biggest spots. And maybe Harrison Barnes can get through these guys. That's my only thought right now, Mark.
Okay, if you say so, because I'm trying to so far I've gone through 3 games. Let me get through all of this, and I apologize for doing this on air, but he's played about 20 minutes in the series.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Mark. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, he can tell him what it's like to win a championship, but maybe today in the meeting he can talk about it. Was he a part of the Golden State team that blew the 3-1 lead?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he went to Sacramento, I believe. But
maybe today he can speak to them in the meeting. I don't think I'm just telling you, I've been around teams that have lost. There wasn't any talking done last night. They weren't trying to fix this last night because no one wanted to hear it. They got to fix it today. They got to get in the meeting rooms. They got to figure out what they did. But, in listening to Brunson after the game, what did he talk about? We got to act like it's 0-0. We got to figure out what we did wrong. The one thing about this series where experience over youth has been apparent, the Spurs have had a double-digit lead after the first quarter in every single game. They have jumped out. They have been the team that's been ready every night. So you can't fault them for going into the game without a plan. But
that's a hell of a stat because it really does go to show that you can have the game plan that is going to win the game. But then if you don't stick to it, you know what I mean? Like they've jumped out, like you said, Mark, every single game. They've been ready. And they've looked good in the first halves, not even just the first quarters of this series. But then things crumble pretty quickly.
Well,
and it's embarrassing.
You've argued with me about this for a week and a half, but I've told you, and I still believe it, and we saw it last night, fatigue is part of this, whether it's physical or what Tim Hardaway said on the show yesterday, that it's mental. This team has fallen apart. They've gotten worse as the game's gone on. They have played more basketball than they've ever played in their lives in one season. And they're young. There's a 20-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old playing against grown men. It is wearing on them. And they are running out of gas as the game goes on. They've been beaten in the fourth quarter now over and over again.
Everyone wants to talk about the 7-game series in the Western Conference Finals because that was the heavyweight, that was the defending champs, and you beat them. You took them down. I think that Timberwolves series, Mark, was just as physical, every bit as challenging. And now when we're talking about this, where the Spurs have a little bit more on the odometer than the Knicks do, that has to get brought up. It's part of the story. And I thought they could handle it a lot better than they have, quite frankly.
Well, they have, unfortunately for the Spurs, they've gotten worse as the game's gone on. Last night was a combination of horrific offense, bad coaching. I put this on Mitch Johnson. You've got to stop this. They shot 8 threes in a row in the third quarter and missed them all. They were up by 29 points at one point in this game, 26 at the half.
But at some point, Mark,
they work the ball around. They didn't run an offense. They came down within 8-10 seconds of the shot clock and are firing up threes. At some point, he's got to slow that down, whether it's a timeout, whether it's saying work the ball, get the ball down low, pass the ball, drive, beat a man.
I hear you. I hear you, because that should have been something that happened was, hey, guys, let's slow this down for a second. I don't know what you're hanging on to those timeouts for. I get all that. But also, 30 points in the second half. That's not on the coach.
No, but it's not all on the coach. But the fact that they were just shooting and not driving is that you have a young team. And, the other part is that Fox had got the steal late and he doesn't dribble it out. He did not need to score there. They are up by a point. When he shot that, I was stunned. I'm peeling off. I yelled it at the TV. I'm like, what? And it gets blocked. You don't need to score there. Here's the thing. They're up one. If he runs that around and gets the clock lower, I don't even know if they get the ball across half court. I mean, they can call the timeout and inbound at half court, but they are in a tough spot.
Yeah. There's no doubt what the right play would have been, which you're exactly right, would be run the clock down. Because let's not act like the Spurs haven't been in tight games in this series alone, right? So where they've, I don't want to say collapsed, but not made the right plays late. So this is kind of where you see true colors starting to show, if you know what I mean.
Think about it. In the series against Oklahoma City, we had two good games. Two. Game one went to overtime. Game 7 was tight.
It was a 7-game series. I've never seen anything like it. It was a 7-game series that was bookended by good games, and the rest were blowouts. It was crazy.
They have not played in games like this. They don't understand what being in a tight game is.
What it takes.
And they have choked in these situations. And their best player has choked in these situations. He had a bad turnover in game 1 that was costly. He had a turnover in game 2 that probably prevented, at the very least, the game from going overtime. And last night, in a key situation, he missed a pair of free throws. Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape. The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and your
sound.
roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Got your text, Mark. Thumbs up.
I did, Johnny. In fact, I don't know. I thought I had that bookmarked. I got to record that because I want to play that quote later in the show. Oh, I know what I did with it. Son of a biscuit. I didn't see the show. I don't even know where you would listen to Paul Feinbaum's show anymore. That's how little I care about him. But Trent, just stay quiet here first. I'm muting you for a reason.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
David will be back on Monday. At least that's what he's telling me. Been off for the last couple of weeks. We'll get to the reason why when David gets back. That's his job, not mine. In the meantime, Trent Bally doing a great job filling in. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Want to text the show? The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. You can get a hold of us at 21,000. Text the keyword Miller to 21,000. Your thoughts on last night's game. We'll get onto the Brandon Sorsby case again. The coach of Texas Tech spoke. Boy, was he ever eloquent. We'll play that for you coming up. Got a great show lined up for you today. Pat Kirwan to talk the NFL. That's when he joins us in the summertime. That's on Thursdays every week at 8 o'clock in the offseason. So we'll talk to Pat today. And the radio voice of the Stanley Cup playoffs, John Forslund, at 8:38 to get us ready for Game 5 tonight back in Raleigh. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
I see Mark's already sitting back, waiting patiently to see how I do, taking a stab at the starting 5. It is a lot more work than I thought it would be. However, I do think I'm prepared. Let me know at the end how I did. NBA Finals. I cannot believe what we just watched last night, Mark. The Spurs score 30 total points in the second half of Game 4. The Knicks take a 3-1 lead. 30 points in any half of any game of basketball is horrendous, let alone in a pretty much do-or-die spot, a quasi-elimination game. They don't get it done. The Spurs make 0 adjustments. To have a 30-point lead, or near a 30-point lead, and choke it away. Wow. Jalen Brunson did drop 36 points for the Knicks. OG Anunoby with 33 on just 15 shot attempts. And that's pretty much the story, because Karl Anthony Towns was held to 13 points. And Mark and I talked earlier this week about how Karl Anthony Towns probably needs to be the best big man on the floor for the Knicks to win. He was not last night, and the Knicks won. Do the math. Mike Brown, in my opinion, coached circles around Mitch Johnson, something Mark Miller texted myself and Felipe about last night. MLB, the Arizona Diamondbacks get shut out by the Miami Marlins 8-0. Game was won in the fourth. The Marlins scored 6 of their runs in that inning. Kyle Stowers is the hero with 3 RBI. Cardinals beat the Mets 9-2. That's for you, Moulton. Get well soon. Out hit them 11-3. The Cardinals did. That's pretty much the story there. The Rays keep on winning, Mark. Unless they're playing the Detroit Tigers, they win. They capture their 40th win of the season, beating the Red Sox 7-5. They out hit the Sox 13-6 to stave off a 4-run 8th inning for Boston. Tampa gets the win nonetheless. The Angels use the 10th inning to beat the Houston Astros. Jose Siri walks it off for LA. There you go, Angels fans. The A's fill in the blank for what city they play for, what city they represent. They get closer to 500. They beat the Milwaukee Brewers 4-3. Minnesota Twins win their 31st game of the season by beating the Tigers 6-4. Byron Buxton, the homer in that one. Hammers his 20th home run of the season. Tigers can't overcome it. Rockies take down the Cubs. We talked about the Cubs a little bit yesterday. They lose 3-2 to one of the worst teams in baseball, Mark. The Rangers use extras to overcome the Royals. A double and a bases-loaded walk score 2 late runs for Texas, and they win it 6-4. Back to the AL East, the Yankees take the Guardians down 8-4. Jazz Chisholm leads the way with 3 RBI. I know you Miami Marlins fans know about that guy named Jazz. Giants beat the Nationals 11-10, a high-scoring affair, but the Giants score 5 runs in each of the final 2 innings. That's the difference there. Padres outlast the Reds 5-4. Fernando Tatis Jr. was the hero, walked it off in the 9th, just his 2nd home run of the season. Phillies and Orioles each score 7 to win over the Mariners and Blue Jays. And in the NFL, we have a little bit of NFL news. Jalen Hurts briefly addressed the A.J. Brown saga, if you want to even call it that, because he didn't really say anything at all. He just said, yeah, it is what it is. Moving on. But the bigger news, Patrick Mahomes' contract is restructured. The Chiefs add 2 years, so he is now signed through 2033. And Mark, I'm curious now, do you think Patrick Mahomes just reached a situation where he wants more after a season of not winning? I mean, it's easy to say you're going to take a pay cut when you're not winning, and then you go through a season like the Chiefs just did.
I think that, I mean, this is more of a sports report than an opinion segment, but Trent, he wants to get paid in line with what the top quarterbacks get paid. We talked about this with Baker Mayfield when we brought it up earlier in the week. But Patrick Mahomes is not, I don't even know if he's in the top 10 as far as quarterbacks getting paid. The man is the best quarterback in the game. He didn't lose. He got hurt last year. I mean, So he wants to be paid appropriately. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the guy wanting to get what he deserves. So he's just now in line with the money he should make. That's all. It's pretty simple to me.
It is simple to me as well. World Cup gets underway today?
Tonight. Yeah, tonight. That's, hey, You don't really answer that one. It really isn't a question. San Diego?
I've got it on my phone. I'm reading the date. I'm like, oh, that's tonight. Okay. But the World Cup gets underway. 3 host nations. We talked with FIFA expert
Glenn Davis.
Thank you for the reminder. Glenn, not Big Baby Davis, Glenn Davis. We talked to him about the FIFA World Cup. That gets underway tonight. Check it out for your listening pleasure anywhere you find your podcasts. And finally, the NHL Finals, the Stanley Cup Final. Singular, not plural. Gets back underway tonight. Mark, who you got tonight?
Carolina.
Any reason why?
The big question tonight for the game is who will play in goal for Carolina. Bussy with the win. I would assume that Bussy would start. Rod Brindamore has not said anything. Frederick Anderson missed the last game. They said a healthy scratch. Now, is he actually injured? Nick Kimprios thinks he's injured, was on the show earlier this week.
Yes, he was. So time will tell what happens there. Who's in goal? That's the big question, as Mark just laid out. And I'm counting them up on my fingers, Mark. That was 5. I at least got you 5. I don't know how great I did. A lot of baseball, per usual. No more tennis to talk about. And the Stanley Cup Final gets back underway tonight. And at 14 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. And I have a good feeling that Mark will be taking it back over tomorrow.
There's no doubt there. For as much as you wanted to talk the first 2 segments, you looked like you were at a loss for words when the segment was completely yours. But RBC in golf today, the Canadian Open gets underway, the last tournament before the U.S. Open next week at Shinnecock Hills. Many of the top players are taking the week off. But Matt Fitzpatrick playing among others as far as the top level players. So that gets going today north of the border on the PGA Tour. A couple of other things from baseball last night, just in case you were wondering. Some history was made last night in baseball because the Red Sox last night became the first team since 1901 to have their first 3 hitters in their order strike out in their first 3 at-bats of the game. It hadn't happened in 125 years, and it happened last night as the Rays sweep the Red Sox. The other big news from a baseball standpoint last night, we talked about this, with the Guardians being swept by the New York Yankees, the White Sox were winners last night. And with that win, the first place team in the American League Central is now the Chicago White Sox. They're up a half a game on the Guardians, a team that had lost over 120 games just a couple of seasons ago, is now turned it around, and they are in first place. One of the things they did last night that was pretty wild is they had Bob Costas and Steve Stone broadcast the game. It was a throwback broadcast from days gone by. So not only did they do the game, they were able to get a win, and the White Sox now in first place, still with just 5 teams in the American League over 500. But the White Sox now with the lead over the Guardians. The Rangers have closed the gap. In the West, they're a game below 500, just 2 games behind the Mariners. Other than that, the Blue Jays have just kind of gone back and forth. They're still 3 games below 500. But right now, the Rangers at 33-34 are the final wild card team in the American League.
Can we take a quick minute to just talk about the throwback broadcast? Did you get to catch any of that? Did you see any of it online?
Not a second of it. I'm aware that it happened, but no, I did not. I mean, I didn't do a lot of baseball last night because it was your job. I did enough to know that if we weren't ready, I could fill in a few minutes because we got that starting. It's something to try to get to 10 to the hour, isn't it?
It is. And it's funny. It made me laugh as I was doing it because I actually practiced, Mark. I rehearsed and I timed myself out and I knew that I wasn't going to have a full segment's worth. And it makes me laugh because there are times where David nearly runs out of time.
So Trent's rehab start on the starting five is complete. You can get at 21,000. The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. Feel free to make your comments. If they're not too mean, I may read them later in the show. We will talk some college football coming up. The head coach of Texas Tech spoke yesterday about the Sorsby case, and it is, to me, remarkable. There's just no other way to put it. What they are getting into with this and the lengths that Texas Tech is going to defend this young man. I have a lot of questions for you, Trent. I have a lot of questions for our audience. I've listened to many people speak about this. I definitely have had my opinion, and I'm not sympathetic towards him. I am not sympathetic towards Texas Tech. However, there are many that find the sport of college football to be incredibly hypocritical right now because everybody's in bed with the gamblers, and now we're trying to throw out someone who's addicted to gambling. I'm one of them. I do not change my opinion on this whatsoever. Just because, they've been taking alcohol money. They take everybody's money. That's the way. If you're allowed to advertise and you're in business to make money, you take your money from just about anyone. I guess you can
think about the precedent they're starting, Mark. That's my thing. That's my problem with this. They're setting a precedent right now that is only going to get worse because, like you said, there's a lot more Sorsbys than we know about. And I guess I'm excited's the wrong word. I'm interested to see how often this type of case comes back to light at other schools.
Well, they're changing the precedent, Trent. That's the one thing. The precedent's been set. If you gamble on the sport that you're in, you're thrown out of the sport. You find me an example where that's not been the case.
That's
fair. Was never the case in baseball. It was not the case if there are players that are thrown out of leagues for gambling. In college football, apparently, they've set a new precedent. Gamble, and we'll let you play as long as you can get a judge to see your case. This is horrendous to me. The questions and again, we've talked about it. We've given our opinions. I don't want to go backward. I would like to advance this story forward. It's something on Miller and Moulton we've always tried to do. So I have a couple of new takes. We'll play the sound from McGuire, the coach at Texas Tech. We'll get into that as well coming up. Mentioned Pat Kirwan on the show at 8 a.m. to talk the NFL today. We can talk about the Mahomes contract. We want to talk about the Baker Mayfield extension that has not happened yet. He needs a new deal. I want to see where Pat thinks he should be paid. And also talk about, does it have to get done before they open camp in July? Those are some of the things going on in the NFL. A.J. Brown mentioned, we didn't really talk about it much this week, but A.J. Brown basically saying he went to the media. He had no problem leaking things to the media because he thought it made the team play better. How many players do you think do that? So plenty to talk about with Pat Kirwan coming up. John Forslund to preview Game 5. The Canes and Vegas are tied at 2 games apiece. Had a great talk with Nick Kiprios about that series. He's really on Eichel for Vegas to get his act together. Eichel hit a crossbar late in that game that would have tied it. He's had chances, has not buried them. To me, Aho for Carolina also has to get going. So plenty to talk about with Pat and John. But when we come back, we will jump into college football. College football has a spot right now that has the sports world divided. Media members saying Texas Tech is not, that the rest of college football is being hypocritical. Not Texas Tech. We'll discuss next, Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. floormeisters.com. CCC
The
1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Who's they, Puck? They said new NIL contracts will include non-gambling language. Who's they? Because when it's their team, will they uphold this?
James, I'll tell you right now, there's no doubt that I am no David Moulton. Not trying to be. And you're not hurting my feelings. I can take the criticism.
I've sat down with this.
Dead struck. That's funny.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, hour number 2. Thanks so much for joining us. Trent Valley filling in for David for the next couple of days. David expected to be back on Monday. In fact, assuring me at 1:16 in the morning that he will be back. I had sent him a text yesterday, early evening, and got a response at 1:30. So that's David these days. So he said 10 out of 10, he will be back on Monday. I hope that's the case. But obviously, we will move on this morning. Pat Kirwan, John Forslund on the show next hour. So the Brendan Sorsby case has taken the sports world by storm. In fact, on Tuesday, it's really all we talked about on this show, and there were NHL and NBA games to talk about, and both series have been amazing. But the precedent that's being set in collegiate football right now on a lot of different fronts bothers many of you. What Seth said on the show Tuesday, however, I do think he is correct in this regard. Because he said once the games start, none of this will matter. And to a large degree, I think Seth is right. However, because with this injunction to the Sorsby case, allowing him to play at game 3, it will come up again on game 3. That game's nationally televised. They play Houston. So there's no doubt that this will hang over the season. But I guess my question today, to those of you listening, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, I may even put it in a poll question, is, are we being hypocrites? And I don't think that we are, but there are others that think college sports is being incredible, and sports in general are being incredibly hypocritical of the take that we have regarding Sorsby, because the sports world is completely in bed with the gamblers now. You can't watch a sporting event without a prediction market or a FanDuel or a DraftKings, or in the case of the state of Florida, Hard Rock ads coming at you.
It's completely taken over. I was talking with my buddies the other day about that. We were like, what were TV commercials like before sports gambling? Like, I can't even remember. Was it just all car insurance and,
well, before that, I think
grocery market,
they're still there. It's the pharmaceutical ads with 15 seconds of advertisements and 45 seconds of disclaimers.
That too.
That's my daughter's new favorite thing, is listening to the disclaimers and sometimes having uncomfortable conversations in the living room when she says, "What's that mean?" So, but more so than the advertisements, Trent, you've now grown up in an era where gambling has been legal
Normal.
about as long as you've been able to drink legally.
Yep.
At least that thereabouts. David and I became a syndicated show and trying to take this on. We now own our own company, but we began working with a company that primarily came into Florida because of the success that he had in Michigan on gambling. He dumped us when the Supreme Court wouldn't hear the case that basically the dog track folks filed against the Hard Rock for the gambling monopoly in the state of Florida. It was never heard by the Supreme Court. Trust me, we wanted it to be. It's nothing against the Hard Rock, and I will always take their money from an advertising standpoint. Again, sponsor 21,000. And I learned more about the Indian Gaming Regulation Act than I ever thought I would in this or any other lifetime.
Right.
But he decided to move on from Miller and Moulton when that didn't happen because he thought the floodgates were going to open in the state of Florida. They didn't. Now we have the prediction markets. So we are raising children in a world where gambling is very normal. Now, gambling was always talked about in my house growing up. Always. We played cards and we played for money. Not a lot, but I mean, I was not even 10 when I started playing penny poker with the grandparents. You know, we would go in Michigan. The big joke is you go up north, but we would go to our cottage on the weekends in the summertime and they would play cards. And by the time I was 8, 9 years old, I was sitting down at the card table with them. We did everything for money. My dad was never really a gambler. I mean, I know that for a fact. He never had a bookie. If he did, he kept that from me. But I don't know of a time that my dad ever had a bookie. I was aware that they existed. I remember that my Uncle Frank was a pretty heavy gambler when I was, I think, probably in my, maybe up to around being a teenager and a little bit before that. But we would go visit with them. I remember he had his code name and he would call this number. And I still remember he was Lincoln. That was his code name. They'd answer the phone, "This is Lincoln," and he'd give his picks.
That's crazy.
And he had a system, and like all systems, it failed him. It worked for a while, and then it crashed and burned. But it was still a fringe thing. So now gambling is normal. My son is still pissed off because it took a while for North Carolina. Well, now he's not, but I mean, it took a while for North Carolina, who legalized gambling, to get everything going. So he can bet on his phone. Trent can bet on his phone. All of us in Florida can bet on our phone. So I guess the question is, are we hypocrites for getting upset that Sorsby gambled, that he has a gambling addiction? He definitely has a problem. Is he an addict? I don't know the answer to that. But when you make 9,000 bets and you're betting on the hot dog eating contest, you've got a problem.
I just don't understand how you can look at the situation and not, it's not okay. Dude, you're in college football. You're making millions of dollars off NIL. You can't gamble. It's just one of those things you can't do. You can't gamble on your sport.
And your team. I mean, that's
your team. To me, it's very black and white, Mark.
And I'm with you, Trent. Like, I don't think we're being hypocrites by saying gambling's legal. You can't gamble while you're playing collegiate sports. You can't gamble while you're playing pro sports.
Right.
So that's the opinion I have. But I want to hear from people who, because I argued with David. David was like, why can't they bet on college sports? And I don't think the college athlete should be able to bet. Period. I don't think they should be able to bet on anything that's going on in collegiate sports.
It's betting on their own games that I think raises eyebrows for people. And it should, because that is extremely fishy. How are we ever going to trust the outcome of any game that wraps up? Ever. I mean, if the quarterback of the team can gamble on his own game,
well,
that's where I draw the line.
Let's back up a little bit, Trent, because he was not playing. I mean, I don't think he should be betting on Texas Tech games. I don't think he should be able to bet on himself for the Heisman. I will at least say, I mean, we've got to at least be truthful here. He wasn't playing for Indiana when he bet on it. He was on the team, but he wasn't playing. He wasn't the starting quarterback making bets on Indiana. He was on the bench. He didn't play. He didn't get in the game. So I at least want to speak the truth here. I don't want to make it seem like Brendan Sorsby was betting on Cincinnati. We have no proof that he was betting on Cincinnati games last year while he was playing for Cincinnati. He was not playing when he made these bets. He claims it made him closer to the team. I think that's bunk, but I at least want, we can't be making stuff up.
Giving context to the situation. Thank you for doing that. Yes, because I'm not calling this kid a liar. I'm not calling him a fraud. I just simply think if you play for a team, you shouldn't be able to bet on that team. Now, if more information comes out that he's betting on Texas Tech this upcoming year, he should be out of the sport. Am I wrong?
Well, he should be out of the sport, period. See, this is where I don't think we're hypocrites. I think gambling can be normal. I think it can be part of society. I don't think you can be betting on the sport that you're playing. We don't allow it in any other sport. When you walk into a Major League Baseball clubhouse, the first thing you see is if you bet on baseball, you will be banned from the sport. They have a rule like this in every sport. So there are people now in the media that have decided that the lane they're going to go in is that college sports are hypocrites because they're taking the gambling money. I don't believe that to be true. Do you? 21,000 is the number. I'll get it up as a poll question here momentarily. The Texas Tech, this all is brought up again because yesterday, Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech head coach, spoke for the first time on this and made his comments about Sorsby. Here's the coach of Texas Tech.
I've sat down with this young man multiple times, and the things that he is going through and what he's been through is serious. As a society, we've been okay with other things that happens and allowing players to play, and this has been the one thing that has united people that we're against, you know. It's crazy because it's not murder, it's not beating somebody, or there's a lot of things that we're working through.
Whoa, not sure why two shot up there, but it's a little glitch in the system. All right, so that's the head coach of Texas Tech. Now, I want to take two comments that were made by a listener in the chat room, who I think personally, by what you said back to back, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. You said you shouldn't be able to bet on your sport and followed it up with, if you take one money of ad money, then they are hypocrites. Which one is it? I don't think both those statements can be true. If you think they're hypocrites, then either they can't take any money, and then that's bad that he bets, but if he bets and you take money, it's okay. I'm not sure how to frame that. All right. They're different things. But if a player were to get in a drunk driving accident, is the college or team hypocrites for taking money from a beer company?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see advertising money being hypocritical. You're in business to make money. They're all taking money, whether it's from the liquor companies, whether it's the beer companies, whether, I guess the only thing we can't take ads money from because it's against the law are cigarettes. Unless the government's going to make it illegal for gambling companies to advertise, you've got to support your program. So I don't think it's hypocritical. Do you? Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332516.
This is Miller and Moulton.
DC, that's a good point.
Enzo, I agree with that. But so they're so if you're in your opinion, if they're taking advertising money, they're creating addicts. Are they creating alcoholics? That would be my question back to you.
Gosh, I keep watching that deer on Fox play last night. Just pull it out, dude. Snare the ball and dribble some clock down. Jeez. They have to foul you. Crazy. I got to stop watching it because I'm just going to get more upset.
Are you upset because you picked? I mean, why are you upset?
I'm just rooting for the Spurs. I don't know. I'm not like
you got
beside myself about it.
I mean, you can't get upset over a team losing for being wrong. You are way too worked up about your own personal stuff. Analyze the game. Don't get mad. It's a game. You gotta start. I mean, you're going to be. You have no idea how. I mean, how much you're going to be wrong.
Been wrong plenty already. So I got you. Yeah, Fly Panda, exactly. You could have taken a 24-second violation the whole half and won the game. Now, they never do that, but you're right. Mathematically, you're correct.
I don't think they are.
They scored 30 points in the half.
Well, right. If they would have scored none, they would have also lost.
Yes, but they also would have taken more time off the clock. 28-3 Patriots.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. The Knicks with a historic comeback. And what I think is one of the worst coaching jobs that I've seen in recent times. Mitch Johnson didn't put a stop to it soon enough. 30 points in the second half by the Spurs. There was a span in which they shot 8 straight three-pointers. And it's not even the 8 three-pointers that I have as much of a problem with as the fact that there wasn't one of them that was late in the shot clock. They just kept playing the same way they did in the first half. And when they started missing shots, they never adjusted. Mitch Johnson didn't get them to adjust. And the young players continued to play the way that they were in the first half.
And last week before the series, when we talked about it with Keith Smith, he jumped in and said, because I remember, Mark, I asked him about the coaching matchup. And he jumped right in and said, I trust Mike Brown 100% more than Mitch Johnson. And that's coming to that. I mean, that is starting to show in this series, I'm afraid.
Victor Wembanyama was really good last night, but not in the second half and not late. This is 3 games now that late plays by Wembanyama have cost the Spurs. Game 1, they rally back, had a 9-0 run, mostly by Wembanyama. He was terrific. And then he had a turnover. That turnover turned out to be costly. The Knicks went on a run from that point and won game 1. Game 2, in a tie game, Spurs get a rebound. Wembanyama dribbling up court, just throws it to the backside of a teammate. The ball goes to Brunson. They foul. He makes 1 free throw. The Knicks win. And last night, 2 free throws at a critical point in the game, and he missed both. He also, I don't know how many of those 8 threes were his, but I know a couple were. No one decided to drive the basket. He didn't go to the, I mean, if you want to get on Castle and Fox for shooting threes, okay, I'm with you. I'm not going to defend them. But Wembanyama, with his ability to put the ball on the floor and go to the basket, can draw fouls. And despite the fact that he missed those 2 late free throws, he's a really good free throw shooter. You had every big man for the Knicks in trouble with fouls. Cat was in foul trouble early. Mitch Robinson got in foul trouble. They were down to their 4th center in the first half. And Wembanyama was getting fouls because he was moving with the basketball. He wasn't content with shooting threes in the first half. They as a team became content shooting threes in the second half, and they started missing everything. From that point forward, it amplified. They couldn't make a shot.
The plan should have been attack. You're exactly right about that because the 3-point shooting, Mark, even in a normal game, if you're not hitting your threes, you should go away from that, right? But let alone collapsing like that, losing that type of lead, it almost amplifies how poor the coaching was. And I hate to just pile on, but that's the correct answer. Like Mitch Johnson got coached in circles yesterday by Mike Brown because Mike Brown just told his team, stay you, and it was working, and that's what they did. Mitch Johnson should have been like, guys, let's stop chucking threes up. We got to score more than 14 points in a quarter. It was awful. It was a tough watch, especially for somebody that predicted the Spurs would win the series. Very hard to watch, Mark.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with that line of thinking. I thought it was a incredibly entertaining. What was a tough watch was a 29-point game in the first half. A blowout. I'm ready to go to bed and turn the game off. I've just learned in the NBA you can't do that. I said, all right, I'll give it a few minutes of the third quarter, and they kept getting it in around 19, and then all of a sudden they go on a stretch where they're not making anything, and the sucker gets down to 12, and we've got a game. They had their opportunities in the third quarter to end this game. They did not do so.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to say Mike Brown coached circles around him? I'm not going to say that. I don't know what Mike Brown did from a coaching standpoint that made me think he coached circles around him. Mitch Johnson and the Spurs had a horrible game because one was so bad. I don't necessarily think that makes the other great. I mean, Mike Brown now for 4 consecutive games has had the ability for his team to go down double digits in the first quarter. His teams aren't ready for whatever reason. They've been unable to be ready at the start of the game.
I absolutely think you're right that the Spurs imploded more than the Knicks took it. But I think there's something to be said from a coaching standpoint for Mike Brown of let's just stick to our game. Yes, we're down 29, but we're going to stick to how we play and what we do. That's what they seem to do. The Knicks, to me, this whole series, Mark, have played the same brand of basketball. And the Spurs have panicked, imploded, and that's the reason they're down 3-1. It sounds so simple, but it's the truth. I think the Knicks' experience is showing, and I think the Spurs' youth is showing in the worst way. And that's with players and coaches.
And the bigger question to me now, we've seen teams come back in this sport from 3-1. It can be done. It's happened, not too long ago. So I believe the series is over, but win game 5 at home, go back to New York and put the pressure on the Knicks again. Anything can happen. Yeah. I don't think it will, but at the end of the day, if I'm the Knicks, I'm not saying we need to win this in 6. Let's get this sucker over with. And the only thing we're coming back to New York for is a parade. That's the mentality I got to have if I'm the New York Knicks heading to this game. I've won in San Antonio twice. There's no reason why we can't do it. And after last night, the way New York fans have traveled, and yes, they can get on a train to go to Philly, but trust me, ticket prices in San Antonio are far cheaper than they are in New York City. So I think there will be a lot of Knicks fans there. Now, it's not going to be like the decisive game in Philadelphia where it was a Knicks home game, basically. But Knicks fans will travel. Again, we've seen more instances of how the Knicks fans acted again last night with going after some San Antonio fans. It's gross. I hate it. But there are small instances, so I'm not going to focus on them too much. It's just bothered me quite a bit. So if you're the Spurs, the bigger question, though, is not even this series. Mentioned it earlier. We thought Denver was a really good team.
Yeah.
They had the best player in the game. They still may have the best player in the game. They
haven't even been back, Mark. That's the thing. They haven't even been back. And I think that's the point you're getting to there. Sorry to cut you off, but they haven't even made another finals, let alone won another ring. So you can't take these things for granted. And I think that's where maybe Knicks fans will show up in San Antonio. They haven't won it since 73. We know that because ESPN and all the major outlets have beaten it to hell, but it's the truth. They're one of the biggest franchises ever and haven't won since 1973. It's hard to get back, man. It's hard to get back, and it's hard to win.
Since 1999. So it's been 27 years since a final appearance. And now they're a game away from winning the championship. And last night, OG Anunoby with the tip in with a terrific game. He has been the unsung hero of this team. Brunson is talked about all the time, and rightly so. He dropped 30 plus again last night. Cat was great in games 1 and 2. He's relatively been non-existent in the last 2 games. But OG Anunoby in game 3, even though they weren't able to win, kept them in that game. And last night had 30 points in obviously the biggest 2 points of his career in the tip-in that sent the Knicks to the win. Pat Kirwan coming up in 30 minutes time to talk the National Football League. John Forslund to set us up for game 5 in the National Hockey League playoffs as that series tied at 2 games apiece. We've talked some Brandon Sorsby. The World Cup gets underway tonight. The first game in Mexico City, one of the 3 host nations. We'll see if all 3 move out of group. I think they will. And U.S. tomorrow night against Paraguay. Remember, the British Open Pub in Southwest Florida is your headquarters for Miller and Moulton's World Cup watch views. I may even make it out. I may mask up and make it to a game. I'm not guaranteeing anything because I'm not supposed to do that. So I can't announce it because my doctor kicked my ass. But I may make it for a game or 2. Trying to get fired up about group round. When the knockout stage comes, it's going to be fantastic. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Don't know what to tell you, Tim. First off, it didn't get over. I went to bed after midnight because I watched a lot of postgame. The game was over before midnight. I don't know what to tell you. It's been this way for a long time. Started at 8:45. These games I thought used to. I don't think so, Left Twix. I'm not firing a young coach with a young team. I don't, and I don't think the Spurs operate that way. I would tell you this, Left Twix, though. If the roles were reversed and that team was, just switch everything, the teams, the coaches, and this were the Spurs taking down the Knicks this way, I think James Dolan would fire his coach. But I don't think the Spurs were, and I don't think they should. I think it's a fair question, Left Twix. I think it's a very, very fair question. I would not. So, Trent, I've got to ask you, did you do the starting five this morning? How much did you do yesterday?
I did most of it yesterday. I did all the baseball. I waited to do the basketball till this morning.
Where did you get your baseball info?
ESPN. The app. I just went on the app and looked at all the box scores.
I would say if you do this again, read stories. Because you were there. Because I didn't pay as much attention last night because you were doing it. We had a walk-off grand slam. We had Scherzer get to 3,500 strikeouts. There were a lot of big things in baseball yesterday.
Okay. I mentioned the walk-off, but I did not get the Scherzer thing. My
You
bad.
said walked it off. Did you say walk? I mean, there were two walk. Tatis had a walk-off. The Giants had a walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, I mentioned Tatis's walk-off, and it was just his second homer of the season.
Did you mention the Giants walk-off was a grand slam home run?
No. Yes, I got it. Thank you.
I'm just,
That's good feedback. I mean, that's not easy to do, so I appreciate it.
helps if it does help if you read through the articles
Yeah, I got you.
instead of trying to write it off of the box score yourself.
Well, I wanted to do this. That's why I texted you. So I appreciate the constructive criticism.
Because there's 3 different places I'm getting the articles from.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I do the score, I do the post, sometimes the AP and ESPN, because I want to read what's written. Because in case that's where I can find out sometimes. Because I don't know who's won.
The context of
I don't know who's won how many. I don't have every team's record. Like how, hey, is that 8 of 10? Those things. If there are streaks and those things that I think are relevant, that's where I'm getting them. I don't know them off the top of my head. Well, tomorrow's the last day, and he's fired, DC.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton. We're about 22 minutes away from Pat Kirwan to talk the NFL. Patrick Mahomes redoing his contract, getting a bunch more money, well-deserved, obviously. Baker Mayfield wants a new contract. We'll get into those things with Pat. And then John Forslund at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour to get us ready for Game 5 between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. That series knotted up 2 apiece. 8 o'clock start tonight. John been calling the game on radio throughout the series. So if you're listening to the game when driving around, it is John Forslund who you are hearing, and we'll talk to him about these. You cannot ask right now for 8 better games than we've been able to get. The conference finals, as I've mentioned a million times in basketball, the conference finals out of 11 games gave us 3 good games. We had 3 good games in the NBA finals before last night, and we get the largest and most historic comeback in the history of the NBA finals last night. The New York Knickerbockers come from nowhere, 29 down, to get the victory on a tip-in by OG Anunoby. And obviously, all the stars out last night. Even Taylor Swift made the game. The shot of the game, Ernie Johnson showing the picture of he and Taylor Swift of, arm in arm that he sent out an ex and grandfather of the year. Yep. That's one where, I'm old enough to be a grandfather, but I'm the father of a 12-year-old. I can't even imagine the delight of his grandkids from that photo. Charles Barkley ripped the Spurs apart post-game. Jalen Brunson sat down with the whole Inside the NBA crew and talked about the comeback. Thought a lot of that stuff was great. It was wild to me, and I thought the one point that was made, not about the game, but Kenny Smith's he goes, when you're at a game in New York City, you get out, you're trying to beat traffic, you're trying to get a cab, you're trying to do whatever. Nobody left last night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 20 minutes, 25 minutes from the game being over. And it still seemed like there was 50% of the crowd there. No one wanted to leave. It was if you're a Knicks fan, it doesn't get any better than that. And I wonder, because the television ratings have been through the damn roof for this series. 20 plus million for game 3. Each game has gone up a little bit. And last night, I just know by some of the things I've read in the chat room and some of the things that have been texted to us on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, some of you went to bed in the third quarter. Some of you gave up. I thought about it. I really and truly did. I was dozing off on the couch. In fact, I probably went down for a good 5 minutes in the third quarter. I know for a fact that the head nod happened. And for whatever reason, I woke back up and didn't really miss all that much. Missed a little bit. I probably missed, I don't know, an eight of the 29 points of the comeback, if you will. But I fell asleep during a TV timeout and woke back up and got splashed water in my face and got ready for the rest of the game. But I think the numbers will be astronomical for game 4 with the comeback. They usually are, but just judging by the listeners of this show, there were plenty of you that said you turned it off. I think it will increase. And now that we've got the Knicks on the precipice of a championship, I would imagine, because the title's on the line in game 5, that game should do a pretty damn good number. If it comes back to New York, it will be obviously even better. So this is, television numbers are through the roof. We're seeing unprecedented stuff for hockey. They're doing great numbers. Basketball's doing 4 times to 5 times plus, 4 times plus what hockey's doing right now. And hockey's doing cartwheels over what their numbers are. I will say this. I think this is actually, even though these games are on ABC, I do think this bodes well for the World Cup. I do think, one, if basketball's over before the World Cup really gets going, I think that's helpful. But I think putting us in this sports frame of mind and the Knicks winning, the World Cup is a standalone event on Friday night. USA's first game is a standalone event. There's no basketball. There's no hockey. So I do think from a World Cup standpoint, and as long as the U.S. team doesn't blow it, I mean, that's obviously my biggest concern if you're watching soccer, is that tonight we've got 2 games. This afternoon, Mexico starts off the World Cup 3:00, and then Czechia and the Korean Republic play at 10 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, 2 games as well. Canada plays at 3, one of the host nations, and the U.S., the other host nation, play at 9 o'clock. But we've got nothing else tomorrow night. So there's no basketball. Basketball off until Saturday. Hockey is tonight. So the U.S. game will stand alone, and I think we'll do well. And boy, oh boy, Fox can't have the U.S. screw up. They can lose in the knockout round. I think they need to win at least a game. I think they need to win 2 games in the knockout round for this to be a successful tournament for the United States. But if they win their group, which they should, the U.S. should win their group. If they get off to a good start against Paraguay in the game tomorrow night, that just adds to what this television is. That gives us a month of about a month of this, of the World Cup going on. And hell, before you know it, it's football season. So I just,
Fox needs the U.S. to do well. I'm totally with you on that. And I think it's funny that it took us this long to actually get to that, because you're right, Mark. I mean, if we're talking about TV ratings and we're talking about what's going to drive revenue through the summer, the World Cup, the U.S. doing well in the World Cup would do wonders for Fox, because it looks like, you're right, it's going to be until football season until they get another marquee event of any sort.
So back to the basketball, because the one thing that the text line has been fueled with today, and even my own phone's blown up last night and today, And I don't know. And this is where, this is where I missed my co-host. Sorry, Trent, because you can go to the Falcons Patriots game, the 28-3. And I think you can put a lot of that on the play calling and coaching. You can. I mean, it was talked about after the game that what were they doing? What were they thinking throwing the ball as much as they did? Is this, from a coaching stamp, where is this going to rank as one of the worst? Because I'm not going to, I disagree with you, Trent. I'm just saying that flat out. I don't think there's anything that Mike Brown did that warrants me saying, well, this was the best coaching job.
But I guess the problem is we're not talking about Mike Brown doing a good job. We're talking about Mitch Johnson effing it up.
I'm talking to you. You've brought it up 3 times on the show, Trent. We've been doing the show for less than 2 hours, and you're telling me that Mike Brown coached circles around Mitch Johnson. I don't believe that to be the case. Mitch Johnson just sucked. He had a horrific night coaching. I don't think Mike Brown did anything special as a coach. I think
my point is, in the big picture, Mike Brown has, if you zoom out, Mike Brown has a philosophy that the Knicks follow, and they stick to it. That's where I give him credit.
Well, I'm not looking at it from 35,000 feet, Trent, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm looking at it from last night. One game. It's, to me, one of the worst coaching jobs, not just in basketball history. You find me other times when we can blame the coach as much as he should be blamed for what happened last night. Yes,
the closest would probably be that Super Bowl that you're talking about, the 28-3. That would probably be the closest example that I could find to draw the parallel. It's horrible. It's awful. Anyone else on the sideline there, anyone else on the bench would have been like, we got to change something up. We can't do this way again.
I mean, they lost that lead, and I don't recall there being a timeout called until it got to like 4.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
If they're not doing what you want, then you need to stop the game and tell them what to do.
And like you said, Mark, what are you saving the timeouts for? You're not saving them because you have challenges like dude, this is the finals. Call a timeout, talk to your team, get a gauge on everybody. It was pretty bad.
So if you out there have what you think would be a worse coaching job, and I know we live in the moment, but I am struggling without, I think the Patriots Falcons, the one I come up with as quickly as any other. Beyond that, I don't have much. I really don't. This is where always thinking forward kills me. But I was with, when Barkley said it, I'm like, thank you. Because the post game starts and Kenny Smith singing the praises of the Knicks. And you could see Barkley couldn't wait for his chance to speak. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what to And Shaq and Barkley were on the same team there. Kenny had to backtrack during that.
If there was going to be an NBA parallel, I would go back to 2022 NBA Finals it was 21, where the Bucks beat the Suns in 6 games, I believe. And the Suns got up 2-0, and Monty Williams kind of, I don't want to say got fat and happy, but rested on his laurels a little bit. And that's where you saw Mike Budenholzer for the Bucks kind of take the reins and show that he was a better coach. That's the only thing that I can even think of, Mark, that comes close. Because you can talk about the 3-1 comeback for the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016. That was because of LeBron James. Let's be honest. That was not coaching. That was not adjustments. Draymond Green was suspended for Game 6. So you have all that at play. I can't come up with a comp for this. I really can't.
And the 8 straight threes, not calling a timeout in the middle of that, not telling players to drive. I just thought there are so many things that were done wrong by San Antonio that, yeah, okay, I'll give the Knicks all the credit in the world because they went what seemingly looked like 10, 12 possessions in the fourth quarter where I think they didn't score on one of them. I mean, they seemingly were scoring on every possession, and San Antonio was still trying to play defense. Brunson was terrific. Anunoby's making everything that's put in front of him. Guys are making shots.
Well, Mark, it's also one of those things. It's the age-old question of, did the Knicks win it? Did the Spurs lose it?
Well, the Spurs lost it.
That's what I was going to get to. If you didn't watch the game, you might not realize it because it's just, 1-point game, good game. No, this game was in the Spurs' hands the entire time, and they choked on applesauce, Mark.
Texter brings up the Jags-Chargers playoff game. I think that's right, and that coach is no longer there. That's a question that was asked of me during the break by one of our listeners on YouTube. Do you fire Mitch Johnson? I would not. He's a young coach. They're a young team. I've said it in the commercial break. I'll say it on the air. If these teams, if you traded both organizations and the Spurs team, young coach, young team, were in New York City, I think Dolan would consider firing Mitch Johnson for this. I don't think San Antonio operates that way. I don't think this organization, for the other part of this is Pop likes him. Pop's still got a big say in the San Antonio organization. So I don't think there's at best a 10, 15% chance that the Spurs would make any type of change. I think it's 1 in 10. I think it's like a 10% chance. I don't think it will happen. But
they're not going to. I mean, they made the finals. This is this team's first run at it, with Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. Like, this core of guys, Castle, Vassell, they have not even made the playoffs, let alone made a run to the finals. So they're not going to get rid of Mitch Johnson. Nothing's going to happen.
The only way that something would happen, and he does not seem to be that type of guy, Victor Wembanyama would have to want him gone.
Publicly.
This would have to be, Magic wanting Westfall gone before they brought in. This would be, MJ wanting to get rid of the coach in Chicago before Doug Collins. So I mean that's what this would have to be. And I don't see Wembanyama being that guy. And it doesn't have to be public, Trent. Wembanyama goes to the owner and says, I want a new coach. Trust me, Trent, there's a new coach coming in San Antonio. He doesn't have to be.
I get that. I totally get that. I just think we live in an era where it has to be out in the open. Otherwise, people are going to publicly scrutinize everything. And I think for a star player of an organization, especially of the status of Victor Wembanyama, to come out and say something publicly that almost saves you the meeting with the owner. You don't even have to go to them. If you put it out in the open and you say, I'm sick of this coach, they're going to get something done. But I don't see that happening, to be clear.
Got to be honest. You can tell there's a difference in age and eras. Trent wants the player to go to the media to voice his complaints as opposed to going directly to the owner. That is, that's
just realistic. That's what's going to happen. If he indeed wants him gone, he's going to say it publicly instead of go straight to the owner.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I don't think Wembanyama is that type of cat. Miller and Moulton. When we come back, we will talk with Pat Kirwan about the National Football League. That's next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for listening. Thursday edition. John Forslund next hour as well.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Core-Tech and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And With a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Go! This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Morning, Pat.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I tell you, these are the good days. You don't have to go into the city because it'd just be crazy that after that yesterday. Holy cow!
Yeah, well, the kid who does the board during our show, we get off at 6, and he has to go to Penn Station to get the train to Jersey.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he said the first game, the Trump night, he said was ridiculous. So he said he was going to a bar. And he was sitting in the bar till it was in the middle of the first quarter and things had calmed down so he could go to the train station and not deal with all the insanity.
Yeah, and then he's got, well, I think it's the weekend because whenever game 6, I guess, no, next week, he's got it worse. And he probably already knows this, but if they have a game 6, which is Tuesday,
World Cup game.
There's a World Cup game that day in Jersey as well. And they're, they want everybody taking the train because apparently you can't drive in. I mean, it's all screwed up with that thing too.
Well, I like the kid, and he doesn't have 2 dimes but I'm going to buy him a ticket on the ferry because the ferry's only lands about 15 minutes from his house. You can walk across to the east side, get on the ferry, have a 45-minute ride and 2 beers on the way home. Go right under the Verrazano Bridge with no traffic.
Morning,
yeah,
Pat.
how you doing, guys? Trent, what's up?
I'm good. This week has flown by.
That's it. I'm telling you.
Did you watch your Blades last? I know you weren't watching the NBA because I know you don't care.
No, that's not true. A couple of guys wanted to go. I'm up the lake, and they want to go out. I said, no, I don't think so because I can't do both. Certainly not going to find the Blades game in a local bar in the mountains. So I stayed home. I put on the Blades game on my computer, and I put the Knicks game on.
Look at you.
And I did them both, and it was quite an evening.
I was pissed because the Blades, some of these games have been on Amazon Prime, so I've been able to watch them because I don't pay for that Flow TV, and I'm not going to. But they pick and choose when they're on, which makes no sense. I mean, I know the Flow TV has the rights, but if I were the league, I would be begging them to let Amazon Prime have every game of the finals.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure of this, but I think it has to do with when there's an opening. When there's a night open with low stuff on that's not really interesting, they kind of use them then. But,
well, they've had, like last night, they had the Quebec Major Junior League finals on and not the ECHL finals. So I don't get it, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I had them both on overtime and turn around and watch the comeback, if you want to call it that.
Pat, who do you root for in the NBA?
I hate basketball. I used to love it. Well, I went to a lot of Knicks games when I was at the Jets for sure. We use them for recruiting. So we had anytime I had a veteran in for a big deal, we were courtside. So I was there a lot. And then when they were in their heyday, absolutely when the O.J. Simpson thing was going on,
right?
They had a big series with Indianapolis, Miller, those guys. I was at every one of those games.
Okay.
But then, I drifted away from it because I just can't stand NBA basketball. They don't, now I like it postseason, but The regular season is brutal.
Not going to argue.
I don't get
my
mad
brother
at anybody
goes.
who doesn't like the
My
product.
brother goes a lot. I said to him, "Come on." And I said, "Call me if they dive on a loose ball 3 times in a game." He's never called.
All right, here we go, guys.
I have rules. That's one of them.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Trent Valley filling in for David for the rest of the week. David will be back on Monday. That's what he tells me. Got the text last night. I asked him 1 out of 10. What are the odds of you being with us on Monday? He said 10. So I will take that as David Moulton will be back on Monday. We'll be happy to have him back. Obviously, right now it is that time during the offseason that we are joined by one Pat Kirwan. Pat's appearance is brought to you by Pinchers. Pinchers, with locations from Tampa to Key West. Pinchers, where you cannot fake fresh. Pat Kirwan, host of NFL's Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS Sports, the NFL Today Show. Pat, offseason, I know you were watching a little minor league hockey last night. You watched a little basketball last night, but it's time to talk football because the NFL never stops.
Yeah, that's true. Let me make a first stop at college. Can we write a rule that boosters can't talk? What are we doing? Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech big fat booster, did you hear what he said about the quarterback? Quote,
Oh, yeah.
the kid did not impact the integrity of a single game. So I spent the morning looking up the definition of integrity. He's wrong. He's wrong.
Pat,
the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. That's integrity. What is that dude talking about?
Pat, there's no doubt. I spent, Tuesday, there was a lot of hockey. There was a lot of basketball. I spent the entire show talking about Sorsby. This is, and I've tried to forward it a little bit today, Pat, because I'm going to ask you the question that I asked Trent and I asked our audience. Are pro sports leagues and college leagues, and I guess just colleges, because the pro sports leagues, you're banned if you gamble on sports. It's easy. They've done it throughout time. Are they being hypocrites for taking the money in one hand and condemning the kid in the other? Because I don't think that they are. I think this is really simple. I can take your gambling money, but you can't bet on the sport that you play. So are the colleges at all hypocritical for accepting the gambling money?
Well, no. I look, there's a lot of adults who don't have a gambling addiction that enjoy making a bet on a game. And they have the right to do that. But the players have to understand they're not part of the public. They're part of the product. And there's a big difference. So, and I think if you don't bring the hammer down on this, look, the three of us know, do you think the guy gambled alone every day? Most guys like the action and they like being with their friends so they can celebrate. I'm way more concerned at how deep does this run. But if you don't stop it here, you're going to have problems. Let's make it easier for people to make the choice. A lot of people live on the fence, right, Trent? And what do you think? Let's make them realize, hey, I'm going to lose my whole career if I do this. If you don't put consequences in front of them, you're going to have even more and more. I will not mention the coach's name, but I saw him recently. He was gambling in his own facility on a company cell phone. You know where I saw him? At a girls' flag football team. He was coaching them. Well, that's what happened to his career.
Well, Pat, it's Major League Baseball. It's in every clubhouse. You go back to, what was it? Not Butkus. It was Alex Karras and Paul Hornung were suspended for gambling. I mean, we have a history of, if you gamble in your sport, you don't get to play your sport anymore. It's that simple. And Pat, this is the only thing, the NCAA is getting a lot of criticism. It's unjust in this instance because the NCAA made him ineligible. The school, the athletic director, Cody Campbell, the big booster, they're the ones picking up the tab for these lawyers, trying to find any way to get the guy that they paid several $1 million to be their quarterback this year. So while I like to throw a lot of blame at the NCAA, I can't here. They did what they were supposed to do, and Texas Tech went and found a judge that would be sympathetic for them.
Yeah, and if they wanted just their money back, they could have wrote into some kind of contract with the NIL that if he does that, he's got to forfeit the money. But the NFL builds contractual ways to get out from under big problems. And maybe that's what's next for those guys. But look, I was told by a high school kid that the high school kids are betting on games.
We're raising a society where they can bet as simply as their phone, Pat. I mean, Trent's young enough that he's basically, his adult life gambling's been legal. My son, his adult life gambling's been legal. This is something that you and I used to have to go to the corner bar and get a sheet from or know a guy named Vinny to make a bet. The world's changed. And I there's a lot of things that have changed for the better. I don't have a problem with gambling being legal at all. I just think you need to be able to enforce rules. And the NCAA is having a hell of a time enforcing any rules right now, Pat.
Yeah. Why even have the NCAA if they can't get this done? So enough of that, but it was just bothering the living daylights out of me with what's going on with all that business. But I don't know. This is the week now, because everyone's shutting down themselves after this mandatory minicamp, that the only question the media keeps asking everyone is this guy going to be ready? Is Neighbors going to be ready? Is Cole Bishop going to be ready? It's one after another. No one knows if they're going to be ready. And don't rush them back, because nothing is more depressing than standing on a practice field August 10th and the guy said he was ready, and now he's back on the ground with another Achilles. Just take your time and just make sure he's available in September. I don't know what the rush is to put guys back on practice fields.
Well, Pat Kirwan joins Miller and Moulton weekly throughout the year, sometimes twice a week during football season. So we have to talk NFL. Pat, I know it might be boring, it might be vanilla, but as far as reworking Patrick Mahomes' contract, how do you see that happening? How do you see it affecting the Chiefs in the short and long term?
Well, he's the first and only guy to do a 10-year deal. Let's start from the beginning, right? Criticized by all the agents. No one else ever did one. And the agents said they were never going to do another one. And I remember one player who's coming up for a contract right after Patrick signed 10, and his opening comment was, well, I'm never doing a 10. So the 10 never hurt the player. He's been current with what people get paid. And now he's going to be on a deal that's going to pay him over $64 million a year. Here's a question for you, Mark. Will Andy still be the coach at the end of this deal?
No, not a chance. Not a chance, I don't think. But I do want to stick with quarterbacks, Pat, because obviously Mahomes did a deal to get himself paid the way that he should be paid. Understandable. Baker Mayfield, for the first time, spoke. And he said, we're a long ways away. Jason Light hasn't said a damn thing. He's like, we got plenty of time to work this out. And they do. Two questions, Pat. First off, how important is it, will Baker not negotiate once camp starts? I think that would be ignorant, but will that happen? And B, where do you slot him from a payment standpoint? I'm looking at Herbert at 52.5. I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence at 55. Jordan Love, 55. So, Jared Goff, 53. Jared Goff's accomplished more than Baker Mayfield. The other three are younger, but have not accomplished as much, certainly in the postseason. So when you look at Baker from a standpoint, I'm guessing he wants 5, Pat. I'm thinking the Bucs don't want to give him a 5-year deal, but 3 of it's guaranteed. So when you look at Baker, one, is this camp deadline real? And 2, where do you slot Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, well, I think you have to assume that it is real. Baker is a tenacious, tough, competitive guy, and he is not one of those guys who wilts, number one. He's also been out on the road unemployed before. He's also been on 2 and 3 teams in a season. He's pretty scarred up, and he knows that this is his chance for the money, and he knows the gap between where he is, he and Sam Darnold in the 30s. Now, you got to think about that. Sam Darnold won 14 games and hit the highway as a free agent and could only find $33 million a year. Let's remember that. So the market is the market. Daniel Jones took a 2-year, $88 million. So he's in the 40s. He never got to the 50s. Yeah. Jared Goff's deal is right above, and that's the gap. Your point, Mark. They go from the 30s for rebound quarterbacks and to the 50s for established quarterbacks that have never screwed up their careers. And now we're venturing deep into the 60s. So he's going to hold out for the 50s. They're not going to want to do a deal. They might get to the 50s, but it might have funny money in it where it's not real and everything else. Would that guy walk away? Because I don't think anyone's going to franchise tag. I mean, Tampa Bay is not going to franchise tag him. So would he let his contract expire and go out to the street? I think he would. I think he's done enough that there's enough teams. If the three of us sat here and came up with what teams would upgrade their quarterback if they had Baker?
Well,
I'll have to find are two.
Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, to me, it's that simple. Aaron's done after this year. They need a quarterback. Let's just start there, Pat.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I think he'd walk. So do I think he would give him a bit of a deal? Yeah, I think he'd take $52 million and be right at the bottom of those guys that have not had career ups and downs. So I think they can lock him up. They don't have an answer on the roster. So that being said, they probably would do a 3. Yeah, but I think you got to be careful thinking this guy wouldn't go do it his own way, and I wouldn't blame him for it.
Well, Pat, let me ask you this, because I don't know how much better the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do right now, if you know what I mean. Like, you're going to lock him up. You're going to pay him in the mid-50s, right? But in 5 years, Pat, if you sign him to 5 years and none of that's guaranteed, that's going to look like a hell of a bargain, no?
Well, every deal that is that long, I'll give you an example. Right now, if you look at it, Jonathan Taylor, I was working on his deal yesterday. If you look at Jonathan Taylor's deal, it was signed in 2023. Of the top 20 paid running backs, nobody has a deal that old. So if you're talking about 5 years and it looks like a bargain, yeah. If he's still good, it is a bargain. But that's why they took the money up front in 2026. And now Jonathan Taylor has got, I looked at his deal, that guy should be paid more than Achane. And then people go, well, I said, yeah, he had a deal that was, and he held out for that deal in 2023. But nobody has a deal this old. But if you go look at Jonathan Taylor, that guy scored 32 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Achane has 24. I don't want to hear it. And then really, Taylor just had his best year. So, yeah, the old deals, they look great for the club if the guy's still good. You believe he's still going to be good in 5 years?
Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sorry, Pat. You know those hard breaks. I got to hit them.
No, I know. I'm fine. You never have to apologize to me.
And I, like with Mayfield, do you think he wants I think he wants a 5-year deal. Do you think he'll get
but you know what they are. You already said it. They're threes with a 2 bailout.
Right.
You can do that so you can give him some signing bonus and spread it out and take the pain later. Yeah. Of course he does. He already said he wants to live there. He's made all the commentary about this is now my home. I've invested in being here. My wife likes it. Those are all, I want a 5-year. The question you have to answer is, do you think he's going to win? And is he that good?
Well, it's funny. I know what you're saying, Pat, but there's part of me that says that's not the first question. The first question to me, and David put this in my head a long time ago, who are you going to replace him with?
Mac Jones.
That's the only one out there, right?
You asked me.
No. And I said it when I talked about this last week, Pat, the first time I brought it up when Baker talked. So, but Mac Jones, what's he going to get? 40 a year, 42 a year coming out of this deal? I mean, he's going to get more than the 3 for 100 that Baker got, right? I think.
Well, it's easy if you want to make a case for Baker to say that Mac Jones won't get more. But there might be someone who thinks Mac Jones is worth more, especially at a place where the head coach or the OC came from the tree of McVay and Shanahan.
Right.
I mean, how did Sam Darnold land up in Minnesota? He was trained by those guys. Yeah. And some places, if they don't like Mac Jones, they might say it's time to go to the rookie because we already did enough with Brady and everything else. There are teams that are starting rookie quarterbacks. What a novelty. You got to, not me. I love Baker, but you got to believe that Baker's going to win.
Well, and now, I mean, Pat, the other side of this too is, look at if they don't win this year, they don't win the division this year, Bowles is fired. Like, if he doesn't win that division, he's out of a job. I know
he's almost fired this year.
Right. I mean, I know you like him and I get it, but that's the hottest seat in the league right now, isn't it?
Well, for a league that fired Sean McDermott, John Harbaugh, and Mike Tomlin, is there anybody safe?
No. No, there is not. Different sport, but I had people asking me in our chat room today. It's like Mitch Johnson, the coach of the Spurs. Would you fire him? Because he blew that game last night. Yeah. Here's a young coach, young team, got his team in the finals for the first time in forever. And it's like, all right, we firing him? That's the mentality of the fan now. Not saying that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's the world we live in.
Well, I was talking to Cower yesterday for a long time on a lot of subjects we had to deal with, but we got into, Bill, do you ever remember a year where 3 guys that are perennial postseason coaches were fired? Baltimore, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh? I don't remember anything like this. So everybody's vulnerable. And when the dust settled and the Bengal coach was still alive and well and the rest of the division wasn't, that was like, what are we doing? I think you should go to a cheap owner that doesn't want to fire because he doesn't want to spend the money on the dead cap.
There you go. Something to be said for playing for either play for Pittsburgh or play for a cheap owner.
The job security is your contract.
Right.
The more dead money you have in your contract, the less likely they are to dump you.
Well, I remember there's an old hockey coach, minor league coach that played in my hometown, and I became friendly. The guy that was kind of like a hero as a kid that I became friends with, and he got fired and got another job. He goes, "You don't know this business until you're double dipping."
Yeah.
when you're still getting one and getting paid on another. All right, Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
David off until Monday. He should be back on Monday. Looking forward to that. Shred Valley doing a hell of a job filling in for the past couple of weeks for us. Appreciate Trent's efforts. And we're joined now by Pat Kirwan for another segment. Pat Kirwan, courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers where you cannot fake fresh. We talked a lot of Baker. We talked some Mahomes deal. Pat, I think you may have, at least on this show, dubbed it, this is the really difficult time of the year for NFL teams, because this is what we like to call a rest season. This is the season when teams don't have control of their players. The mini camps are done, and you just hold your breath until the end of July, early August, right?
This is it. And we've already had enough episodes that the warning signs are here that there's too much free time on the hands of some. I am extremely concerned with the amount of domestic violence cases. And I know some of them are he said, she said, and all that business, but there's just too much of it. And I think the NFL is going to have to bring a harder and bigger hammer down on all this stuff. But that episode, I mean, back in the day when I was there, we were worried about who was buying jet skis and driving across the ocean, killing themselves out there. But now it's other stuff, and it's concerning to say the least.
Well,
a lot
Pat,
of huge in contracts, though, Mark, they're gonna knock money right out of guys for the things that they do that are wrong.
Well, and Pat, that's it. It's obviously it's a huge subject. It's a touchy subject. People are uncomfortable talking about it. And because David's wife's a therapist, and we don't talk about her much on the show because he doesn't want us to, but he's taught me a lot more than I would have ever known otherwise. And one of the things he said is, one, most of them don't get convicted. Two, and we see this in the NFL a lot, Pat, that the woman will back off of the charges because she doesn't want to take away the money that the player is going to make. So even with language in the contracts, you have to have proof. And this almost becomes, back to without video, without the Ray Rice situation, Pat, it is he said, she said. And I don't know how much can the league do, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's difficult. You just laid out the difficult issues that are there. I would say this: there's more things on video nowadays than ever before. It seems to me that there's a camera everywhere. But you left out one dimension to it, and that is after it happens, whether he's guilty or not, you find it harder and harder to get these guys the money they get when they have to go back out for a new contract at a new place. There's deeper concerns. A guy asked me yesterday, well, how come no one's after Tyreek Hill? I said, well, okay. He's got 3 issues that are on his plate that he's got to deal with. And one of them is character, and one of them is health. And the other one is, his behavior as a dolphin. You think about, do I want to bring on all that stuff? Now you'll bring them on for a much lower payday. So the player may not lose his money because the lady involved backs off and now she's getting paid because he needs the salary. But he is not going to usually find that kind of money anywhere else. And that's where his sacrifice comes in. Shock. You think Tyreek Hill's ever going to see the money he was seeing in Miami?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Well, Pat, if we can switch from the off-the-field stuff to on-the-field stuff, what's the biggest story right now that you're following, that you're paying attention to, that you think NFL fans, because we know there's a crap ton of them, should be paying attention to?
Well, the one that comes across the most to me from coaches is extra tight end offenses. And you're going to see a lot of that 12 and 13 personnel. A lot of tight ends were drafted. A lot were signed. People are bringing 6 tight ends to camp. And they are all talking to me about starting to gravitate away from 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers on the field, and moving to this other stuff. And part of it's because they think the defenses are small and built to drop back and cover passes and blitz, and they want to run right at them. So it's kind of, for me, a little return to the old days where they think that the big power run game behind extra tight ends is where they're headed. And a lot of teams have told me they're doing it.
All right. On that note, and that's ironic that you brought up, because one of the things I was reading was about Mike McDaniel, the new OC, the former Dolphin coach, and with the Chargers, changing his offensive line, and they're having to learn the outside zone blocking scheme.
Yeah.
And does that go against the 13 personnel type of thing, where that would seem like it's basically a man-on-man type of blocking and more of a power blocking? Are we going to see less of that? And when you change any offense from blocking scheme A to blocking scheme B, how difficult is that for an offensive line?
Well, I was talking to McGovern yesterday, the center from Buffalo, and Brady is going to be doing some different things. You know, Joe Brady takes over. They all know Joe, but Joe has wanted to do things his way, so they're doing some different things. But a couple of things. Most guys who became zone teams back when Alex Gibbs basically invented it, he preached you have to be committed to it 100%. So the guys, and we were part of it. Yeah, you became a total zone scheme. Nobody is total zone anymore. Why? There's too many fronts that know how to play it. So everyone's brought in G schemes, power schemes, all kinds of stuff into it. But it doesn't really have anything to do with tight ends. Tight ends don't just down block anymore. If you get a tight end and a wing together, they're double teaming at the point of attack. You can run the zone scheme behind, and people like the extra zone. What happens when you have 3 tight ends on the field is you have an unbalanced line without an unbalanced line. The guards are still on both sides of the center, and it's a balanced front 5, but now the 2 tight ends together on one side give you an extra gap. If you don't move your defense over, they're going to run to the extra gap. Ask Mike Shanahan. He's figured out all that stuff before, and nobody runs extra. And he has use check, which is an oddball because no one has a use check. But they will continue to run it when use check finally retires. So a lot of guys are going there, and they want to run. And by the way, keep your eye on fullbacks. My radio partner, Jacob Hester, is a fullback, but we are up to 17 teams, I believe, with a fullback. And we talked to Utz the other day, the kid from the Seahawks. They have 2 fullbacks on the roster. There was a time when only 10 teams had fullbacks a few years ago. No, they got away from it, but they're all coming back to it.
Pat, I want to ask you real quick about the A.J. Brown situation, because Jalen Hurts kind of brought it up and didn't. I guess I want your take on what he said or didn't say, if you know what I mean.
God, you were doing so good, Trent, asking me football questions, and you're right back to the soap opera. One question on football, you couldn't wait to go back to that nonsense.
Tell me.
I don't know. It sounded to me at first like we fell apart or we moved apart. I mean, AJ's made it sound like they were involved or something, but Hurts is this. He's a stiff guy, right? He's just a player. He's a grinder. He's a son of a coach. He sees everything through the lens of practice. And, you know, there were true stories out there about some of the things that were going on with him. And, you know, he had an opinion about play calls. Sometimes he liked to get right out of the play and do what he wanted. I don't even care. Last week I had to deal with, how does A.J. Brown fit? That was the question of the week last week. He fits because he's really good. And he catches the ball like Terrell Owens. And he breaks tackles. They will be able to get the ball to him. In regards to the Eagles, they bet on a bunch of guys. They filled up that receiver room. But you tell me, do you see anyone in there as good as A.J. Brown?
Not even close, Pat.
Thank you very much.
You know that. And I will say the other thing, and we've only got 30 seconds left, so I don't really have time for much of an answer, Pat. But not only 17 fullbacks, but I've heard you talk about it. I heard your interview with Halfley, the Dolphins coach. That doesn't even get to when you're running that 12 and 13 personnel, and those tight ends are almost dropping back where they're playing a fullback type role. So I think it's even more prevalent than what you talk about. He's Pat Kirwan, moving the chains, NFL Radio, CBS Sports, the NFL Today. Pat, as always, thanks, my man.
Take care, Trent. I'll see you soon, buddy.
Sounds
Stay
good.
well.
Your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Core-Tech and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You've got MillerandMoulton.com.
I got a question for you, Mark.
Okay.
These, I get these polls on YouTube every now and then. Which of these 4 rock albums is your favorite? Holy Diver by Dio, Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden, Dr. Feelgood by The Crew, or Mental Health by Quiet Riot?
Well, Quiet Riot would be last for certain. I don't even know how you put that band in with those other bands. I would probably go. It would be because I don't know every track on those albums, so that's tough for me. I love Dio back in the day. I would probably go. That's what he likes, Mr. Spivey. He thinks people care about these bands. I'm with you, Mr. Spivey. I would probably go Iron Maiden. I think they're the best band. I don't think it's close of the three. Then I would, but Dr. Feelgood's a really good Crew album. But again, I don't
think it's close.
No, Iron Maiden far and away is the.
You think Iron Maiden is far and away better than Motley Crue?
Not even close. Not even in the same category. Iron Maiden's a rock and roll Hall of Fame band, in my opinion, and Motley Crue's a good hair metal band, a really good hair metal band. I know they're your favorite band, Trent, but you have to understand other people have opinions. You get very angry when people disagree with your opinion, and today you're very angry because the Spurs lost and you were wrong.
I'm not even angry about that. I'm happy because that means that David Moulton's happy. How's that?
I don't believe you because it's the opposite of what you said earlier in the show. I can run the damn tape, Trent.
Oh. Also, Motley Crue would be in the Hall of Fame if they weren't black. But
if
whatever.
they weren't what?
Blacklisted.
Okay.
They're not going to get in ever.
Well, metal bands don't get in. I need to call them
controversy.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
If there has ever been a case of the broadcasters flying differently than the players these days, John Forslund can lay it out for us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 5 tonight. This series has been phenomenal. 3 1-goal games, 2 overtime games, and an empty netter in Game 4, the only reason that we had a 2-goal game. He does the radio call nationally for the Stanley Cup Finals. He is one John Forslund. John, good morning. Mark and Trent, how are you?
Hi, Mark. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing good. You've got to give our audience, and I texted John yesterday, would you come on the show? And John always says yes. He's been terrific to us on this show. I asked him when he got into Raleigh. I expected midday yesterday, John. A 12-hour layover in Phoenix. Who books your travel?
Yeah, well, they do a great job. I got here. That's the bottom line. Yeah, one of those things. I mean, when you do this, you deal with it. I think everybody that travels with their job understands it. Sometimes there's circumstances you can't control, but I had more of the Phoenix airport than I ever want to see again. I took an early flight at 6 a.m. local time in Las Vegas and got to Phoenix around 7:15 a.m. and had a flight all set, ready to go, get me here to Raleigh around 4. And anyway, 12 and a half hours later, the plane finally left, and I got here around 2:45 and to bed at 3:30, and here we go.
Holy cow. And he'll do the game tonight on radio nationally, wherever you catch the hockey. All right.
It'll keep me awake. I know that. It'll keep me awake.
Man, has the series been good. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, you've been around Carolina a lot. Freddie Anderson, not just not playing in game 4. When did you find out, how close to game time did you find out that Anderson not only wasn't starting, but wasn't dressed? Rod Brindamore on the bench said that, he's healthy and he's just resting him. I have trouble with that one, but I'm not going to say the coach is a liar. Is there more there than Freddie Anderson just missing the game because he was a healthy scratch, John?
There has to be more to this. We found out, our Billy Jaffe, who does the sideline reporting, as you know, Eddie Olczyk's up in the booth with me. He found out just minutes before the warm-up from a Canadian reporter, a French reporter covering the series for French television, that Anderson was not dressing. That's all the information we had. We never received any information other than visually looking at the warm-up to see that Fyodor Kochetkov was coming out to back up that night. During the national anthem, some unofficial reports were coming out that he was scratched. He was not hurt, because this was something that needs to be said if you're going to cover a game like this, and you got Freddie Anderson, the number 1 goalie, who arguably going into this round was in the running for the Conn Smythe Trophy. What is he healthy, or what's happening here? The unthinkable is that he's a healthy scratch. And then at post game, for the coach to say, yeah, we gave him a day off, something's in the mix here, because the coach himself on the practice day was laughing about it, like kidding with the media. I'm going to keep this one to myself. Usually when they do that, that means it's business as usual and Anderson's starting. And he was said to be having a maintenance day on the off day. So I don't have a lot of time for a lot of these hijinks that go on. Now, I got to think, Mark, you're right, that he's either injured and they're covering it up because he did get brushed in the second period of the previous game and was down and part of a goal coming off the scoreboard on a goalie interference call. Okay, that's one thing. To be fair to him, he's also gone through an awful lot with the Claude Lemieux suicide, his agent, and as he said, a member of our family. He had a 15-year relationship with Claude Lemieux professionally, missed his funeral and is trying to play through that. So maybe has something to do with it. Maybe we find out when the series is over. If his mental health is an issue, he needed a break, you got to cut him some slack. But this is unheard of, because no number 1 goalie in the history of hockey has ever been given a day off for just to take a break during the Stanley Cup final. That's unheard of.
John Forslund, great voice of hockey, talking with us on Miller and Moulton this morning. John, thanks again for joining the program. At 2-2, which team do you think should feel better about themselves and their situation going forward?
The only team, it's a great question, the only team that should feel better about themselves is the home team, and that's the only reason. They slept in their beds last night, as I did for a couple of hours, but they slept longer. They're gonna be healthy. They're gonna be mentally healthy at home. The crowd's gonna be energetic. This place is crazy, and so that's gonna help Carolina do what they do best in this series and virtually every playoff game and throughout the regular season, is get off to a great start. They're out shooting Vegas 41-14 in the first period in this series, and in every game, Vegas has to come back, adjust, do something to counteract what's coming at them. To me, that's got to flip tonight, or Carolina gets an edge that way. There are no conclusions drawn after the 4 games, because the games have been so wild, unprecedented. There have been so many swings in momentum. It's hard to say who the better team is after 4 games, but I would say Carolina slightly has an edge because they can come home in their environment and dictate the game, and that's what they're good at. And as I said in the previous series with Montreal, the Canadiens had no chance of getting Carolina out of their comfort zone. Vegas has at times in this series done that. Well, they got to get back to it. I think the best they were in game 3 in the second period, Vegas was outstanding in terms of their physical play, their forecheck. They were in control of that entire period, led by Carter Hart in goal, who struggled in the 4th game. They need to bring that tonight, or Carolina gets an edge and will need one more win after tonight to win the Stanley Cup.
All right. All valid points, John. What has been, I don't know, strange, bizarre about this series to me is that we all thought, everybody thought, this is a defensive series, 2 defensive coaches.
Right.
The systems are conducive to 2-1, 3-2 games. Well, we've had none of that. Do you think, and I've seen, and John, I know you've been at this sport for a long time. I broadcasted hockey for damn near 20 years. There were certain cardinal rules that in old school hockey were there. You don't shoot wide of the net on a 3-on-2 and spring there. Well, those rules are all gone now. And I'm seeing stuff in games that are like, holy cow, the coaches that I was around would just lose their mind. And Torts was an old school coach. So his ability to change is incredible. But at the same time, do you think because both of these teams, this has been my little theory, tell me if you think there's anything to it. Do you think because these teams are so defensive that guys are maybe taking a few chances that they wouldn't normally take during the regular season playing these type of systems because scoring such a premium? Because, Stone getting behind the defense, some miscues defensively. It just seems like guys are taking some chances to create offense that's leading to mistakes the other way.
Well, today's game can become a runaway freight train if you start having mistakes, because today's game, and maybe for a while, if you go back 20 years, the game at the NHL level can be overcoached, and the players can become robotic within their system because their system can be locked tight. Now, the Hurricane system is a lot of pressure, puck pressure, relentless skating in 3 zones, back pressure when they're defending. They're chaotic the way they play. So if they're playing their game, which they've been allowed to do for the lion's share of the series, then what ends up happening is there's mistakes on line changes. There's mistakes for in coverage. Carolina, as opposed to Vegas, plays a man-to-man defensive zone, and they lose their coverage, and all of a sudden, they're running around. So there are pockets of time where the game becomes a runaway freight train. And remember, we've got a lot of skill on both teams, and when highly skilled players in today's NHL get open ice, it's unbelievable because their skills are off the charts. So that's what you see in the second period where you have long changes. That's where Vegas has been at their best. Vegas has been able to exploit Carolina on their long changes. Carolina stretches out the ice a lot. They cherry pick. They try to get breakaways. When there's no option, they flip the puck high in the air through center. They get defensive position. I can't stand it myself. It bogs the game down, but it's effective for them. And I think by and large, that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Now, I can't really explain it, which is great. And I can't really predict what's going to happen next, which is great. And that's why this series has been one of the best we've ever seen, because of its unpredictability. So that's basically where we're at. I mean, I asked Eddie O after the game, I said, what do you think? And he just shrugged his shoulders. And so usually after 4 games, when you get to the swing situation, 5, 6, 7 potential closeouts, you can draw a conclusion. You can probably say the New York Knicks have an advantage now, you would think, based on what happened last night, right? So that's 3-1. This one's 2-2, and you don't even know. I mean, I could sound like a genius and give you a prediction, but I'm not going to do that because I have no clue what's going to happen next.
Well, John, you definitely talked about why what's happening is happening, if you know what I mean. But I guess my question to you would be, are you surprised at the way the series has gone? I mean, the high scoring, we thought these were 2 really highly defensive teams. Are you surprised by what kind of hockey we're seeing?
Yeah, I'm shocked by it. I'm shocked by it because, when you cover one of these events and you're around everybody that covers the game nationally, and then you're around the people that cover the respective teams all season, you get a consensus. And the consensus across the board from everybody is, well, what are we looking at here? And we're all having a lot of fun with it. I know the fans are. The coaches are probably overstressed, but that's their job, and they got to deal with it. And the players, I think, are enjoying competing against each other like this. So, you get 3 goals in 39 seconds, in game 3 by Carolina. You get Mitch Marner with a hat trick in 6 minutes and change, the fastest hat trick in the history of the Stanley Cup final. You get all these historic moments within 4 games of a championship round. That's something special. So yeah, it's It shocked everybody. Nobody expected this. And then the other thing we all say, tonight's the night. Tonight's the night we're going to see it bog down and get to the defensive tight hockey. Hasn't happened yet. So I'll say it to you guys. Tonight's the night. But we'll see, you know?
I don't believe you, John. All right.
Right.
Sebastian.
I'm just saying it.
Oh, I know. Sebastian Aho has not had a great final. He's a great player. Jack Eichel has not had a great final. He's a great player. Who of those two stars, and I know there are plenty of stars on both teams, but if I were just to pick individuals, Aho or Eichel, who has to be better tonight for their team to win?
Well, I'll answer it two ways, Mark. I believe Eichel needs to be, and also I believe Eichel will, only because Eichel's been in and around scoring chances more than Aho. Aho's made some good plays. You know, he's made some sensational passes. He's been a very effective penalty killer. He hasn't been right for 4 rounds for him. You know, his numbers are just okay. You know, he's potentially going into the playoffs, a guy you would say, if Carolina wins the cup, he could be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. He's not even close. And so we'll see at the end of the playoff year if he's injured or not, because that's the only thing you could say, or he's just been average to slightly above. Now, not unusual for top players to get checked and be held off the score sheet in a playoff series, but that's within a playoff series. That's not for 4 rounds. You know, the Stankoven line offensively has carried Carolina. I believe they're over 50 points combined now. So that's been unbelievable. Eichel, if you look at the fourth game, you know, in and around chances, he had a goal taken away in the second period of game 3, an interference situation with the goalie. You know, he's got the assists. He's a point per game player in the playoffs, 20 points, I believe, 20 games. But it's got to be better. He's got to take over this game, and he's capable of it. I see his game closer to being breakthrough than Aho. But as the series suggests, you know, that could easily be reversed because the unthinkable happens. But I would have to, if I were betting on this, I would say Eichel's got to be a premier player, and should be, if you follow the logic of, you know, scorers when they're in and around chances at some time, it's going to fall for them.
All right. You mentioned the Conn Smythe a couple of times. With Freddie Anderson out, I think he's out of the Conn Smythe. Marner's had an unbelievable playoff, and the Conn Smythe, for people that don't know, is the entire playoff. It's not just the final. So I think Marner's the favorite. If Vegas wins, I don't know if you agree. Who are your favorites as at this point right now? Who's the favorite for Carolina?
Yeah, the only guy I can come up with for Carolina, because you can't give the team the Conn Smythe Trophy because they're a total team. There's a couple of people. You know, Taylor Hall leads them in points. Yep. Okay, he's been good. Stankoven, a double-digit goal scorer, has been good. Jordan Stahl, for me, is the Conn Smythe winner on their side. When you look at the fact that he's scored in every game of the final, and even if he's not scoring, he's total shutdown, face-off, supreme in the face-off circle. You know, he's their leader. Up until the last game where Stahl gets the game-winning goal, I was with Marner, win or lose. You know, I thought we're going to have another situation like McDavid and back in the day, Jean-Sebastian Giguère, where Ron Hextall, where the losing team gets the Conn Smythe Trophy. It only has happened a handful of times. But the way Stahl has played, if this continues, you know, I think he's going to get it.
John, thank you so much for doing this with your travel yesterday. Have a great call tonight, and I know the pregame nap today is key for you, sir.
I'm going to run out of time, but I'm going to get it in. Trust me.
John Forslund doing the game on NHL radio.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
No!
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes
Mark
alive.
Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Blue Oyster Cult. Wow. That's I listened to somebody talk about how much they like, and a musician talk about how great of a song The Reaper is. And it's tough to even listen to that song as a good song anymore because of the whole skit. I used to rock me some Godzilla back in the day. I had the Blue Oyster Cult live album.
Spivey, I listen to Eddie Trunk all the time. Sorry, didn't mean to Coming hot.
You are today. You are just going whenever you feel. It doesn't matter if I feel like I'm with my mother right now. I literally feel like I'm with my mom. Whenever she feels like talking, doesn't matter if I'm talking or not. She just talks.
That's why I texted you what I said. I don't feel like myself today. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
This is something. Yeah, there's going to be a jailbreak, Javier. It's going to be me jailbreaking my co-host in the nose. If he were in the same room with me, I'd throw something at him today. Son of a. I had to cut a commercial out there. I mean, we don't have enough advertisers, so everybody's getting bonused a crap load. So I'm not too worried.
That's fine.
But by the way,
you get a guy like John Forslund on.
I'm not cutting him off with. I just had to. Now I got to remember to put that spot back in. That reminds me, I got to get a hold of my girlfriend. Loved that song. They did Roadhouse Blues on that live album. It was great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, final hour, the pro hour, Jacksonville and Tampa. We've talked a lot of NBA today. The last hour, we did not talk any NBA because we had Pat Kirwan on the show. I guess a little with Pat, and even John Forslund brought it up as well. But USA Network, or USA Sports Network, I guess is what it's called, where John does hockey for in the playoffs. And John is, man, what a pro. I can't say it enough. Sports USA Network. That's the network. I had to get that right. But John Forslund, as he said on the air, and I called him. I said, what time did, I started out, I just small talk. All it was small talk. I didn't expect this answer. And when John answered, I said, hey, man, how you doing? What time did you get into Raleigh? 3 a.m. What? Because I sent the text out, like I said on air. I said, hey, can you come on the show? And I knew John would say yes. He always says yes to us. He has been terrific to David and I for years now. And I knew, I said, we got Pat. I'll get John. I tried to get an NBA guest for 7:38. Probably should have gone back to the well with Keith Smith, but we screwed up with Lee Ellis yesterday. So I tried to get Lee on and he never answered me. And then I left Keith alone when the game started. So we'll have an NBA guest tomorrow. I promise you that. And we'll probably have another NHL guest as well. And we'll get ready. I don't know how much, we've already had Glenn Davis on to talk about USA soccer. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, nor am I going to pretend that many of you, I don't think our audience truly cares for a soccer breakdown. I know there are some of you that love the World Cup and that are great aficionados of whether it's the Premier League or whatever team it is you follow, PSG or Real Madrid or any of the great clubs in Europe.
Arsenal, Seth. Perhaps not a breakdown of soccer, but it definitely, it's the World Cup. It only happens once every 4 years. We have to give some credence to it.
Well, I'm giving credence, but my point, Trent, is that our audience is not a soccer audience. So I don't think they need a breakdown. And to speak generically about a tournament that neither of us know enough about does, to me, not make great radio.
Yes.
The starting five, well, I say who won last night, and I say I will be doing it tomorrow. And I will tell you who's playing that night. Outside of that, there's not going to be a lot of World Cup talk until we get out of group. We'll probably get Glenn Davis back on at some point. But it is not something that I don't think there's anyone doing a sports talk show in this country that's outside of maybe Glenn, that's an expert on what's going to happen in the World Cup. And if I started naming players for Argentina or Colombia or whomever, who cares? It's literally like talking about Division III football. Okay, we may watch the final game on ESPN when Mount Union plays whomever, but no one knows who any of the players are, and you're watching it because it's on television.
I think the big picture here with the World Cup is people want to see how the U.S. does. It's not – you're right, Mark. If I started naming strikers for Brazil, you'd be like, who the hell are you talking about right now? But the U.S., I think that's the big story. As one of the host nations, how far can they get? I don't think anybody realistically believes they can win this thing, but can they get –
yes, it's always about the U.S., Trent, but the other side of it is it's the curiosity like the Olympics. That's what I would equate it to. All of a sudden, the Olympics are on, and it's like we're watching curling or bobsledding or ski jumping going, ooh, this is cool. Hey, look at that. They ski and then they shoot things.
Stuff that's foreign to us, no pun intended, but foreign, stuff we don't always watch, right? So from that aspect, it has appeal. I just don't know if there's much appeal outside of the U.S. You know what I mean?
There will be, because the last couple of World Cups, if you looked at the TV numbers, we will watch the final game. We will watch probably the semifinals as well. When there are games of consequence, the one thing we learned in the last World Cup is when there are games of consequence, as an American sports fan, we will watch no matter what it is. So the final of the World Cup, when whomever's playing, people will tune in. And right now, I think I did read an article yesterday that rules out England's chances. For those of us that maybe pick England because, we kicked their ass in the war, but they speak the same language as us, and you follow them. Someone put basically history together and said that there's never, the one factoid I will give you is there has never been a nation who has won the World Cup with a foreign-born coach of that team. And England's coach is not English, so he ruled them out. I think the 5 teams at the end of with all of the different little points that they had, and this is kind of like how they do a U.S. Open pick or a British Open pick or whatever the case may be with golf tournaments, and it's this money list, all these things. The NCAA basketball is very similar to that you've got to have a team that's top 5 in Ken Pom offense and defense, or top 20 or whatever it is. I believe it was Spain, the Netherlands, Germany, Brazil, and I think there were 5 nations that basically you should pick from that they broke down the World Cup, but England was not on that list. So that was one of the here. In fact, good for me. I actually left it up. It was in the Athletic yesterday. So it boils down to these 5 nations are the teams that will win based on the criteria that they gave us: Argentina, France, Germany, Netherlands, and Spain. That's where your winner's coming from. Brazil, England, Portugal, Uruguay, and Colombia, which are teams that have good history in this, have a foreign-born manager. That rules them out. No European team has won the World Cup without having multiple of the player of the European Player of the Year. So Belgium, Norway, of teams that you may think Belgium basically would be in, and then no team with a rating outside of the top 17 in the world has ever won one. So that rules out a few more. The U.S. gets ruled out because no team from outside of Europe or South America has ever won a World Cup. So there's your breakdown of how it is. I am going to root for the Netherlands. I root for USA first, but I laugh when we lose because we always lose. I would pick England second, but if they're out of the 5 teams that are on that list, I'll go with the Netherlands, and it's a very simple reason behind it.
They wear orange?
No, I do love their fans. Their fans are wonderful, whether it's a speed skating event. What I love the fans in the Netherlands. I think but I've been there. I was actually in Amsterdam when I was in college, and long before weed was legal everywhere in this country.
Oh, no.
You could go to the hash bars in Amsterdam, and you can still get hookers. So based off of that, they're really the leaders in the clubhouse when it comes to the legalization of weed and the legalization of prostitution. Go Netherlands.
I will tell you this right now. That's incredible. And I'm glad you said the Netherlands, though, because jokes aside, that is the nation. My money's on France. Don't get me wrong, but that is the nation that I would look at and say I feel confident about. I know, I've watched a few matches this year. The Netherlands, to me, just scream like being ready for this moment. And of course, if you're a U.S. soccer fan, you watched the Netherlands kick the U.S. out last tournament, 2022. So
We didn't make the tournament in 2022.
yeah, but that was the last match is what I'm trying to say. So I think people are familiar with that team and that nation and what they have going on.
You say so. Their odds are not that good. I'm getting long odds on the Netherlands. They are not one of the top favorites as far as that goes. If you are going to bet this thing, Trent is probably on board.
I'm betting on France.
That is your favorite, I believe, in the World Cup this year. So this is our World Cup preview. I mean, I don't have much to give you. Trent tried to BS his way through a Netherlands thing there. I don't know if any of you bought it. I didn't buy any of it. Not one sentence that he said there. Of course, why would the Hard Rock app work right now? So I'm trying to get the World Cup winner to pull up
the odds. Yeah, Mark, I just think if there was a nation that people were going to buy into, it might be the Netherlands just because that's what they're familiar with. That's all I was trying to say. I'm not advising you all to bet on the Netherlands to win the World Cup.
All right. I think it's a stretch, kid. That's all I'm saying. I think if people are leaning towards a bet in the World Cup, you've got Spain and France, who are the prohibitive favorites. Okay, they're at plus 450 and 500. England is next, then Portugal, then Argentina and Brazil, then Germany, and then the Netherlands are the 8th betting favorite at plus 2,000. So I think that again, Spain and France are your two best bets. Brazil, they're probably Brazil and the Netherlands to me are the most fun to watch. They play a more wide open style. It's not as defensive. They like to attack all the time. It doesn't always work in this tournament. But
you're not alone with the Brazil take. I've seen that quite a bit. Not as much with the Netherlands, but Brazil, people love watching Brazilian soccer, specifically on offense.
So there it is, our World Cup preview. I am pulling for the Netherlands. That is my pick. I'm going out on a limb. Trent going front running with France, one of the two most prohibitive favorites in the tournament. There are two bets sure to go wrong, go the other way, and go quickly. I did not get a pick from David Moulton for you to fade that as well, but World Cup tonight, Mexico, that's the first game. They play at 3:00 today. U.S. plays tomorrow, 9 p.m. Thank goodness it's a Friday night because you can stay up. I don't know how many of you would be watching if that were a weeknight. So will the NBA Finals, the number is going to be, I think, going to be monstrous. Will Game 5 continue that trend? Stanley Cup tonight. We've been watching like never before in these playoffs, and they have delivered. We have literally had 8 unbelievable games between the Stanley Cup final and the NBA Finals. Last night, the Knicks, with the most historic and biggest comeback in the history of the finals, down 29 in Game 4, and the meltdown in the second half by the San Antonio Spurs. 8 consecutive three-pointers shot while they were leading by 20-plus points, allowing the Knicks to get back in it. And then Brunson fired the long three, Anunoby with the tip, and they're up 3-1. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience, and With a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ryan, since you have that in quotes, what is that from? Is that a line from something that I should know? I feel like it is. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I should know that. That Thank you. I'm embarrassed. You got me thinking there, Mr. Spivey. So I did a quick search of best band of the 80s. Here's what they came with. Van Halen didn't make the list for what it's worth. That's embarrassing. But it's got Queen, U2, The Police, GNR, and Duran Duran, just for what it's worth. No. A lot of hits. I wouldn't say.
In excess.
A lot of hits. I think they're a very underrated band. I wouldn't. I'm looking now at the Forbes list. And now you got me. This is not a good list either because, first off, best bands, and they have Madonna on the list.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, it's bands. It's not a band. I'm not trying to be.
No, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. That's terrible. Let me be very clear to the chat room. Motley Crue, number 1. Kiss, number 2. Metallica, number 3. Van Halen, number 4. Those are my personal favorites. That's not where I rank them all time because everyone knows Led Zeppelin and the Beatles are number 1 and 2.
We're doing the 80s, but you're going all over the place. Now
Well,
Classic rock and culture, and we know that you like Motley Crue. If anybody's listened to this show for 1 minute this week, they are aware of your love of Motley Crue. Okay. And if you did rock bands of the 80s, this is another list. I think this is a decent list. GNR 1, Van Halen 2. I don't necessarily agree with 3, although they're one of my 2 favorite bands, REM and Aerosmith. And Aerosmith had a huge 80s. They've got Metallica 6, Journey 7. They've got Motley Crue 9, Bon Jovi 11 for what it's worth. Where the hell is I saw U2 on this. Where the hell are they? Kiss 17. Surprised in the 80s because they're, to me, I think more 70s with them.
For sure.
But
I don't know. Kiss has some good 80s stuff, though. Heaven's on Fire. Tears Are Falling.
Those stop.
That's some MTV stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Stop. Please stop. Those are terrible songs. Please. Please, Trent. I've got 2 segments and 1 more day with you. Please stop. Holy crap. Now, you're probably right, Mr. Spivey. Metallica was just coming into play, if anything, late 80s.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. I have to start this segment off by apologizing to Trent. I'm sorry. You were right. It was the Netherlands. It was 8 years ago that we missed the World Cup, not 4 years ago. We were knocked out 4 years ago by the Netherlands. So my apologies, Trent. Your World Cup memorization is much better than mine. Props to you for having your soccer brain on this morning. So a couple of things I wanted to get to that we have not talked about last night with the basketball game. One was halftime. One of the funniest halftimes I've ever seen because the game's a blowout. I mean, remember, we're at 26 points at the half. So they're not breaking much down. They're talking about this and that. And Wu-Tang is playing at MSG. And they're going nuts. I mean, Chuck and Shaq and Kenny, that's their genre. That's one of their bands. They're singing, they're dancing. It was fantastic. And for Knicks fans, I've got to say, this is not a knock on our president. Everybody slow your roll. Don't get mad at me. Wu-Tang 1, President Trump 0. That's all I'm saying. If Game 6 happens and the president wants to come back and Wu-Tang wants to come back, you've got to go Wu-Tang. And remember, Wu-Tang's for the kids, people.
You have to go Wu-Tang. You absolutely have to go Wu-Tang. And I'd be shocked if the Knicks didn't go Jay-Z or Nas or one of these. Well, Eric B. and Rakim.
Nas is from, I believe, Fayetteville, North Carolina, so I don't think they'd go there. Jay-Z, yes, but I mean the Wu-Tang thing, that was
Nas. What Nas are you talking about? He's from Queens.
He's from Queens? Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of somebody else.
You're thinking of probably Lil Nas X. I'm talking about Nas. Nasir bin Oludara Jones is his full name.
Okay,
but
well,
I get the point you're making, though, Mark.
I'm just having a little fun. You're right. I'm thinking of somebody completely different. I apologize. Look, I'm just having a little fun. I'm not going down a hip hop hole. Okay. All right. That's
okay.
Talking about people that were at the last 2 games. Yes, I'm thinking of J. Cole. Thank Fly Panda. I apologize. So I thought halftime was hysterical because they weren't breaking down the game. There's no game to break down when it's 26.
Right.
So
and unfortunately,
singing Wu-Tang. I thought it was fantastic. They were having fun.
Well, unfortunately, that's kind of what last night boiled down to, which was it wasn't a game until really the last 5 or 6 minutes. I don't know, Mark. It was weird because this is the finals. You want good games every game, of course, right? You don't want a Western Conference Finals where teams are blowing each other out and then you go 7 games and it's like, oh, that was a great series. No, it actually wasn't if you watch the games. So I think we're at a point in this NBA Finals where last night was not good basketball. And yet we're down. We have a 3-1 score. And not everyone is rooting for the Knicks, which they shouldn't be.
All right. I mean, yeah, I was just talking about halftime, but that you kind of went in a few different directions there. I mean, the Spurs played a perfect first half. There's no doubt about that. It was one of the bigger meltdowns I've ever seen in sports. I mean, yeah, someone brought up the fourth quarter in the Knicks-Cavs series. Yep, they fell apart in 7 minutes. This was over the course of one half. This was Patriots-Falcons that fell apart. I mean, this was a collapse like we've never seen from the totality of it. That's why, to me, I go right to the Super Bowl game of Patriots-Falcons, because that was an entire half in which things fell apart for one team. And it was, obviously that cost them the game. That cost the Falcons the game, the way they broke down. And I think this will cost the Spurs the series. So I do think that what we had last night will haunt the Spurs for next to ever. This is the other point that Trent and I have been on since the beginning of the show. You look at Denver, they've not been back to the finals. They won it, and they've got the best player in the game. Everybody is anointing Wembanyama the next great player. We will see. But
it's been 3 seasons since then, and I think that's what people forget. It's been 3 full seasons since the Denver Nuggets won it all. Because you're right, Mark. I mean, most people would consider Nikola Jokic the best player in the world. Have they even been back, let alone won another one? They have not. And that just goes to show how difficult it is to get to the finals, let alone win one.
And yes, this team's very young, but there are no guarantees. And I think it will be brought up. I don't think it's right, but I do think when this series is over, you wonder how many people are going to bring up the coaching of Mitch Johnson. We did, Trent wanted Wemby to go public with it. You got slapped around a little bit on the text line. People saying, Trent, Wemby's not LeBron. He's not going to want it out in the open. He'd do it man to man. So you're getting your shots. People have brought up some other games collapses. We brought up the Jags Chargers, a Vikings Colts game, but that's not the playoffs. That's really tough to do. I did like this comp was Grady Little not pulling Pedro in 2003 in the Yanks Red Sox game. So there are, I get it. There are other coaching blunders. That pitching things, one time. This was 8 missed shots. This was over the course of 2 quarters. Players cause teams to lose. I don't typically blame coaches, but with a young team, I thought it was the coach's obligation to slow the game down.
This one felt weird. This one felt very weird. It was like, what the hell is wrong with these guys? And this felt to me, Mark, like Sorsby had a hand in it, where it's like you've got a guy on the court or a guy on the sideline who's betting on the game. Because it was that uncanny. It's like, guys, you've scored 14 points in the entire quarter. What is going on?
So the young team, the coach slowing it down, not driving the ball. And to be honest, you make the fix thing. I thought early in the game, I'm watching the game early. I would thought it was the other way when they overturned the foul, and he hooked him. But the fact that got overturned, the fact that Towns had 2 fouls in the first minute, 4, that there was 2 goaltends in an out of bounds play that were all called incorrectly in the first couple of minutes. So there were a lot of things to point. I'm laughing. I'm at home going, well, the league wants the Knicks to they want this back to 2-2. They need to make sure that this happens. And then obviously we've had it text to us a couple times today, Pete Carroll throwing the ball instead of giving Marshawn Lynch the ball at the 1. That's one play, one coach. And you're right. To me, it's a horrible play call. I can't argue with anything you're saying when it comes to not giving beast mode the ball to win the Super Bowl. But I will say again, that's one play. And if you want to blame the coach, I get it. And you're probably right. But the fact of the matter is, this was coaching over the course of a half. And he had to slow the game down, and he didn't do it, and guys kept firing shots. So it's a combination of the players playing essentially, their own street ball kind of game. And I get it. The NBA is a make or miss league. But when you're up with that margin, you've got to take the will of the opposition out. And
the
you
reason
do that by driving the basket. You do that by making it hard on the team you're playing. And they didn't make it hard on the Knicks in the second half.
The reason it's so difficult and frustrating for me as a fan and someone who picked the Knicks to win the series, or picked the Spurs, excuse me, is Mitch Johnson knows how to coach. I mean, they just had a 7-game grueling series with the defending champs OKC Thunder, right? So he knows how to do it. It's more just like, why can't you make some sort of adjustment within the game? Not series to series, game to game, but within the game. That's the question.
Well, there were only 2 games that were close in that series. Now, the Spurs were able to win both of them, but he didn't have to adjust in game very much against Oklahoma City, and didn't when they got blown out. We'll wrap things up on a Thursday next. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
That's not bad. Yeah, Johnny O, that's accurate. That's accurate. I mean, that goes with the Grady Little thing. He pulled him and they didn't pull. Yeah, I don't think I think last night's worse. But Kevin Cash, that's on the short list to me of finals, championship, World Series coaching blunders. I'm with you there, Johnny O. I won't argue with that one iota. I think last night's is worse, but Kevin Cash makes the short list. You're on to something there. I think it is, Enzo. I don't know what other one you can really come up with to me. I think that's right there because of the longevity of it. One was, it's third quarter in that game, third quarter in this game. So I that's where I started today. So
Sorry for the awkward pause there, Mark. I lost you for a second. I didn't know what to do. I just kept talking.
well, then you actually quit talking mid-sentence. You just stopped. I'm like,
well, yeah, because I lost you. I was frozen. I thought I didn't have you, period.
Gotcha.
My bad.
It was on your end because I had you the whole time.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Jason Kidd did do that. Accidentally spilled the drink on the floor. That was crazy. Can you hear this guy yelling?
Yeah.
On my end?
Yes.
Okay. Jeez. It's my neighbor, but come on.
By the way, the gal playing drums for Rush is pretty good.
Yes, she is.
The highlights I've seen have been pretty solid.
Me too. This guy has got to shut up. Hang on.
Trent's going to get shot. I wouldn't yell at my neighbors in Detroit. Just saying. Does your daughter play drums, Javier? Does she play an instrument? Our producer there for a little bit, Raj, his daughter's getting pretty good at guitar. He sent me a video of her. I thought that was pretty cool. Very jealous because I struggle with bar chords, and she's like 14, and she's way better than I am, and she's been playing for a year. But what are you going
to do? You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, wrapping things up. Final segment here on a Thursday. I've got nothing lined up for tomorrow, but I can assure you we will talk some hockey and we will talk some basketball tomorrow. Like I said, I don't see any more reason. We did our World Cup preview of Team USA, and I don't have a lot of soccer guests in the Rolodex, so that's probably the end of that. May even try a little baseball because the Chicago White Sox are in first place. Unbelievable. All right. Let's get after it.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
By the way, since Trent went over to yell at his neighbor and he's not back, there is a good chance he's in harm's way. But any chance you think he's going to take the mute off and just start talking again? Because I would bet on it. All right, 1776 is where we start. The Continental Congress appoints a committee to draft the Declaration of Independence. That's a committee I can get behind. Today in 1919, Sir Barton wins the Belmont, becoming the first horse to win the Triple Crown. He never had won a race until that year's Kentucky Derby, then went 3-0. I would have loved to have seen the write-up on this when it happened, because it was today that George VI, King George VI, that is, in 1939, and Queen Elizabeth had their first hot dogs at a party at FDR's place during their U.S. visit. So many questions. I'm hoping that ketchup wasn't served.
Well played, Mark Miller.
Today in 1950, 16 months after being severely injured in an auto accident, Ben Hogan wins by 4 shots in a playoff to win the 50th U.S. Open, dubbed the Miracle at Marion. The Stones, Paint It Black, number 1 in the land today in 66.
Great song.
To say music got worse 10 years later would be an understatement, because 11 years later, the number 1 song in the land was I'm Your Boogeyman by Casey and the Sunshine Band. Seattle Slew wins the Belmont also today in 77. Today in 79, John Wayne died. 1982, E.T., the Spielberg movie with Drew Barrymore, is released. 1982, Larry Holmes TKO's Jerry Cooney for the heavyweight title at Caesar's Palace. Another great white hope. Jerry Cooney was an okay boxer. Larry Holmes is a highly underrated boxer. Today in 86, probably one of the favorite movies of my young life at that time. Ferris Bueller's Day Off hits theaters. Made us all want to skip school. If you're of a certain age, and even older, my son, I don't know if you liked that movie, Trent, because obviously it was made, 15 years before you were on the planet, but my son was born in 99, loves Ferris Bueller's.
It was not shown to me as a child. I watched it in my adulthood, and I thought it was great. So.
Oh, you watched it last week, huh?
Well played, Mark Miller.
Today in 88, Yankee pitcher Rick Rhoden becomes the first pitcher since the adoption of the DH rule in 73 to be a DH. He went 0 for 1 with an RBI and an 8-6 win over Baltimore. Jurassic Park opened today in 93, set a box office record of a little over $500 million in its first weekend.
Are you a fan of those movies?
I liked the first one. I don't know if I've even seen any of the other ones. They're all the same.
Okay. Yeah, they are.
The first one was really cool. I believe I actually saw it in the theater. I know I did. It was cool. The visuals were great. There were when the Raptors were in that office, it was a little scary, if you will. I mean, I don't know about scary is the right word, but it had that rush to it. So no, I like
exciting. Yeah, it was exciting when the Raptors were in the kitchen.
2002 on Fox TV today, American Idol premiered. Let's see, 2012, the Kings get their first Stanley Cup title in their 45-year history, beating the Devils in 6. And today in 2017, the Penguins take down the Preds to go back-to-back for the Stanley Cup. Jacques Cousteau, yes or no, Trent? Do you know who that is?
Right?
Vince Lombardi, yeah, he was
what's the correct term?
Yes, I don't know if he very much a marine biologist, if you will. Yes, Vince Lombardi. Ever heard of him?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Gene Wilder.
Willy Wonka.
Ah, very good. And Henry Hill would have all celebrated birthdays today. For Gene Wilder, I will ask our Twitch and YouTube audience, and those of you listening in Tampa and Jacksonville, you can text me at 21,000. Pick one that Gene Wilder that you'd go to. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles. I'd go Blazing Saddles, but there are a lot of people out there that love Young Frankenstein. Jackie Stewart's 87. Any idea, Trent?
Nope.
Racer, won a lot of big-time car races, was kind of the voice of racing on ABC and Wild World of Sports in my youth. Joe Montana is 70. Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones and others is 57. Diana Taurasi's 44. Jose Reyes 43. And Maya Moore 37. It marks the first time in the history of this segment that I've had 2 WNBA players on the list.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to British Columbia, where De'Ara Jordan and her husband, Sharon, yes, husband Sharon, were hit in their car in Kelowna, BC. They ran off the road. The car rolled. They had small injuries. When they got out, all they could think about was Daisy, their dog, who somehow got out of the car. She wasn't worried about her injuries, wanted to go find the dog. First responders said, you need to go to the hospital. Well, when she got out of the hospital, she started looking for the dog. Another call was made to a volunteer group, and they asked the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to help. Pretty soon, there was a search party for the dog. No luck. After a couple of days of searching, they thought that maybe they had lost Daisy. On the fourth day, they went back to look, and they went to the crash site where the truck that hit them was still there. And Daisy was in the passenger seat, reunited with her family. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral, Florida, where Devon Turner is an interesting cat. He was wearing women's clothing, including leggings and a tank top, and carrying a small women's backpack when he was in an RV that wasn't his. He tried to steal some items and then left for court because he was going to court for a previous burglary. That's right. He was making a robbery on his way to court for robbery. When he was searched by CCPD, they found nearly 3 grams of meth. That could explain everything.
Is that considered double jeopardy?
It's certainly idiocy. We go to Broward. We go to Deerfield Beach in Broward County for the ugly, where Corey Coddington, is facing a slew of charges, including aggravated assault, carjacking, petty theft, and leaving the scene. Apparently, he crashed his SUV. And when a woman stopped to help, he carjacked her and took off. Then he drove to Chick-fil-A. When he was in the Chick-fil-A covered with blood, he stole a kid's French fry. I'm not making this up. He was bloodied when he got in his car, and a guy asked him, "Are you okay?" He responded, "Doesn't look like I'm okay." That's when he pilfered the French fry from a child and said he wanted a milkshake. He didn't get his milkshake and left to go to a gas station where he was finally confronted by deputies and taken into custody. They recovered more than 10 grams of ecstasy when they picked up Corey. And that is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, offering great pay, benefits, overtime, other jobs available. Go to capecops.com. That's capecops.com. Today, we start the World Cup. 3 o'clock, first game. Mexico, one of the host nations, is going to kick off the World Cup. They are taking on South Africa. Mexico minus 240 to win. South Africa plus 750. The second game, more of a toss-up between Czechia and the Korean Republic. Each team plus 170 in that game. Today in Major League Baseball, Diamondbacks and Marlins finishing up their series this afternoon. Just a handful of games. Cardinals and Mets. Twins, Tigers. Rangers, Royals. Cubs, Rockies. Dodgers and Pirates finish their series after the Pirates had a big comeback win yesterday, as do the Mariners and Orioles, and the Braves against the first place Chicago White Sox. Golf, they are in Canada, already underway at the RBC Canadian Open. 2 tied at the top at 4 under in the early going of that tournament. But hockey tonight, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. In Raleigh, 8 p.m., ABC. Obviously, with any 7-game series, that's knotted up at 2. The pivotal Game 5. Typically, you win this game, you win the series. Who will get it done? I have no idea. I really don't, because I didn't think Bussy, the Carolina goaltender, played all that well. Carter Hart didn't have a great game. Jordan Stahl did. The Carolina power play has found some success here after not having a whole lot early on in the playoffs. So to me, this is just another crapshoot. It really is. I'll pick Carolina, because I think they're the better team, but I have no earthly idea.
In what has been a high-scoring series, Mark, are you going to be surprised if tonight is a 4-5 final or something like that, or
Not
do you
at
think it's
all.
going to be low-scoring?
I'm expecting it. There's no reason for me to believe that tonight's the night that we get a 2-1 game.
Yeah.
And all I'll tell you is that basically we've been facing off at about 8:15. You damn well better have the television on, because there have been early goals in almost every one of these games. Teams are scoring early and often. Carolina has dominated the first period. Vegas has dominated the second period. And take your pick when it's all over. I would have lost game 4 because I probably would have, I would have taken I would have laid the goal I would have taken the goal and a half with whomever I would have bet. Now, I might have gotten Carolina because they're the road team, but these games have all been 1-goal games. And the only reason that one wasn't is that there was an empty net goal. So I think we get another really good hockey game. The goaltending thing is, to me, huge. Who starts? It's Bussy. It's got to be. It's now his series. The 28-year-old that's not a rookie only because he's over 26. This is his first year in the league. This is, to have a goaltender playing with basically zero NHL experience at this time, when your number one goaltender, no one's talking as to why he's not playing. John Forslund gave us all the reasons, and so did Nick Kypreos yesterday. He's had injury problems in the past. His agent was Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux just killed himself. Is he mentally in a tough spot that now he's having trouble playing because he didn't go to the funeral? I have no idea. No one does.
It's a really tough situation to talk about and to speculate on. And as the information trickles out, I'm sure we'll have a better idea. But you're right, Mark. It has to be talked about in this series.
So, Jordan, the other thing to me is for Carolina, does someone have a game in which you now look at them as the favorite to win the Conn Smythe? I'm with John that I think right now, if Carolina wins at this point forward, Jordan Stahl would be my pick for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Marner would be my pick if Vegas wins. He's been great throughout the playoffs. Taylor Hall has been the leading scorer for Carolina, but nothing that really blows your doors off. So
I don't think there's any doubt that it's Marner if it's Vegas, but if Carolina wins, that's where things get a little bit more dicey, if you know what I mean.
There's no doubt. You could go in a lot of different directions. You got Hall, you got Blake, who are both up there as far as the scoring leaders. I think they're both tied with 18 points. Stankoven is at 15 points, but he's got 11 goals. So, I have no idea when it comes to the MVP part of the playoffs, but someone's got to win 2 more games. And can Carolina get it done at home tonight before going back to Vegas for game 6? We'll review game 5 tomorrow. We'll look ahead to game 5 of the NBA Finals. USA opens their World Cup tomorrow, and we'll probably talk a little baseball as well. Miss any of the show, millerandmoulton.com or all the usual suspects where you download your podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
No!
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes
Your
alive.
roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Roddy, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.